Hello, good afternoon, everyone. I apologize for being late. I hope my staff, I was going to say fed you, gave you something to drink. Mukhang hindi. So you have them to blame for that, but I'm sure they'll give you something in a while. But seriously, I'm sorry for being late. I'm usually on time. But without further ado, let us get to the heart of this. We will have definitely more than one hearing, so I would like to put on record some House rules so that we can have orderly conduct of business. If there's just one senator, then it will be orderly. We usually contribute to our own, I shouldn't say disorderly behavior, but we usually make it more livelier when there are more senators involved. But my brother, Senator Alan, sends his apologies because he wanted to be here, but he was not feeling well late last night and apparently has not recovered. So having said that, I would like to tell you how I intend to go about this hearing. There are a lot of concerns, and as I speak, I'm just looking very quickly at the list of people here. And I have to say, I don't know if all of you will be given a chance to speak because there looks to be more than I expected. But some of you, like for example in DepEd, there are already 3, no? So maybe one key speaker, and then that might make it possible. So here are the ground rules and the areas I intend to focus on. Do I assume correctly that DepEd has a presentation? Okay. Is there anyone else who has a presentation? Dole. Where is Dole? There. Okay. And I also have to tell you that Dole is not a priority today. So you may or may not be able to present today. You are a priority in general, but probably not today. Okay, just to be clear on how we intend to. And I'll tell you why in a second. Okay, so that's the only one. So this is what I intend to do. Can I get the list? Okay. Is everybody confirmed?
For TESDA, I'm looking for TESDA. Wala ko. Ayun, TESDA there. There.
Ah, okay. Yeah.
Show the scene.
Okay.
So that can show TESDA.
Okay. So first of all, obviously we will need to hear from DepEd because they are the lead agency in all this. And so the first order of business will be to call on DepEd to make their presentation. And then I will call upon key stakeholders to also provide us with information as to what their participation has been in preparing for the implementation of K-12. And then for these same stakeholders, in addition to those who are agencies involved in implementation, to identify their key problems. And so that's where the teachers, the private HEIs would come in. Okay? That's the focus. Because once we identify, we understand what DepEd is trying to achieve and where they are, to me, the most, and the facts, no, we would like to gather as much facts as we can from DepEd. After that, the objective really is to see how we are preparing for that transition period from no K-12 to K-12. So that's what we want to see. So for those who are here and may not directly answer those key questions, I may have to call on you in the next hearing. But let's see how it goes. My house rules are, please do not, if you're presenting something to us, then of course I will be listening, and I will ask you to speed it along, depending on our time constraints. And obviously we have, because there's a lot of you here. Please don't read your position papers to me. I can read after the hearing. I would prefer that you can read highlights, point out the highlights to me. Otherwise, submit your position paper so that we can move along quickly. And if you read the whole thing to me, then I'll ask you to just shorten it, and so that I can read it in my own good time. I will only be asking basic clarificatory questions except for DepEd because, as I said, they're the lead agencies. That way it will give us more time to get to everybody else who has something to say. Obviously, I will ask you to submit your lengthy position papers later, and you can even add if you feel these were not adequately, if you didn't adequately state your position. And if there, later on, I'm sure there will be concerns from some of the stakeholders when the presentations are being made, you may express your desire to ask a question or to comment, but I may not call on you precisely because I do want the presentation to move along, without too much interruptions. But if I also have a question, then I may. So just raise your hand, and if I don't call on you, don't feel bad. Take note of your comment, and you can raise it later on. So I think that's it. Okay. Yeah. Can you summarize your presentation in about 10 minutes?
I'll do my best.
Okay. Anyway, I say 10 minutes because that already assumes that I will have questions, and
Yeah.
that will be extended. But if more or less it's 10 minutes, then give or take another 5 to 10. You'll have 20, and then we can move on to TED, TESDA, and then question and answer and other stakeholders. Okay? Yes, you may start.
Magandang hapon po sa kanilang lahat. Allow me to share on behalf of the Department of Education the status of the K-12 implementation, as well as what we foresee as the subsequent updates. This is the outline of our presentation. So first the updates, and then some information on basic input, and then important steps. Then we have also done some work on the teacher requirements for senior high, and of course, the fifth part of the presentation is care of Dole and Shed. Okay.
So the fifth part will...
All right. For the implementation updates, first of all, the curriculum of K-12 has been completed. We've also rolled out kindergarten grades 1 and 2, presently grade 3, and also grade 7, 8, and 9. We have released new learning resources. We've also done training and retooling of public school teachers in line with the rollout of the new curriculum. We've also begun senior high school modeling in a small number of schools only. And of course, recently we have issued guidelines. We've issued senior high school permits for non-DepEd schools that wish to start senior high school this June 2014. Just a bit. Yeah.
Because I'm going to ask you, so go ahead.
Yeah.
Because I will want to know I would like to know offhand what are the changes in the curriculum in kindergarten to senior high school.
All right. So the curriculum guides are all available online. That's the site where we can find them. No.
So in other words, grade 7, that's grade 7, first year, second year, third, no change.
Just for TLE, yeah. Just for technical livelihood education,
okay.
Yeah. And then senior high school, obviously, is grades 11 and 12.
So wait,
right.
If I go back to elementary and junior high, what's the change in kinder to grade 6? Or are you going to get to that later on?
We can get into that later.
Okay. Okay, I do.
So, shall I just proceed to the...
Do proceed. I'll just ask, just because if you have something coming up, then I'll just wait, and if you don't, then you'll respond na. Yeah.
Thank you. So, senior high school is composed of two parts. There's the core, and there's the track. The core subjects are composed of 15 subjects, and then the track subjects are composed of 16 subjects. The tracks, there are 4 tracks in the senior high school program. These are the academic track, the technical vocational livelihood track, the sports track, and the arts and design track.
Sorry, can you go back?
Yeah.
Extra copy so I can... Yeah. Can somebody just give me so I can just make my notes and you can move on, and at least I have my notes already. Okay, I have it. Thank you. I have. Somebody gave me.
Okay, ma'am.
Hold on.
Right. So we're on page 3, ma'am.
Yes, I'm still
Ah,
there.
yeah.
If you could hold that for a minute. These 4 tracks are based on what? Are based on what model do you have? I mean, is it a European model, an American model? What is it?
Ma'am, it's not the American model because the American model is just one system, no, which is like a core curriculum for most, no. This is based on consultations with higher education, with TED and with TESDA. It's also based on, it's very similar to the Japan model, as a matter of fact, even the distribution
So it's
of,
closest to Japan.
well, yeah, Japan. And because we don't signify or specify where children should go, so we're not so similar to Singapore, but more Japan, where children have options.
Okay. So
Australia also has a similar model.
So aside from the core subjects, they will now be choosing a track by senior high.
Yes.
Okay. And when you choose a track, you stick to the track through 11th and 12th grade.
That's the preferred mode, yes.
Yeah. But if you want to change, you can.
You can, yeah.
You can. And when you apply for college, does it matter to them which track you followed? Can you apply for a degree that has nothing to do with the track that you took?
Dapat, yeah.
Okay, so
There is,
we're not creating any barriers. We're not
Predetermining,
creating
yeah.
any barriers here.
Yeah.
So in other words, if I were to pursue a track in sports, but then so 11th and 12th, but then decide to go to a design school or engineering, that should not be a barrier.
That should be alright because of the core curriculum.
Okay, so anyway, the other stakeholders are here, no? So when the time comes, I will just ask them to confirm that that in fact is the case when they receive these students. Because I'm just curious, I wouldn't know if there are any specific requirements to enter college now, new requirements. Because like now, as long as you graduate high school, you can go to any college, correct? So I just want to be sure that with K to 12, it did not result in additional requirements. For example, if you go to engineering, they'll say, oh, but hindi ka nag-track nung nag-academic track, no? So now you can't. I just want to be sure that wasn't what will happen. Allow me to acknowledge the presence of Senator Lauren Legarda. So we're just asking DepEd to go through their presentation, and then we will ask the other key implementing agencies, CHED and TESDA, to also make their statements, and then the key stakeholders will be given the opportunity to also make their statements. But I've also asked that we focus on the transition because of the time constraints. We will handle the other issues in the next hearings. So that's for the information of Senator Legarda. Please proceed.
Okay. Next slide shows where we are just in the implementation. It's 2014, 2015, and so we're implementing grades 3 and 9 curriculum at the moment. Okay. Next, please.
So at the moment, you are implementing grades 3 to 9. Okay.
3 and 9, yeah.
3 and 9.
Yes.
What does that mean when you say you're implementing 3 and 9?
Because when we started in 2012, we implemented grades 1 and 7.
Okay.
So the elementary curriculum and the high school curriculum are changing together. Yeah. So in 2013, we implemented grades 2 and 8. And then now 3 and 9, and then next year 4 and 10.
Because you started in 2012, you started grade 1.
Yes.
But why is it I still continue to receive queries on what exactly is the curriculum change? Is there difficulty in disseminating this all over the country? Is it unclear as to which grade levels have changes? Because I continue to receive those queries. What exactly is the curriculum change from teachers themselves?
In relation to the public school teachers,
Yes.
we've undergone massive training for those who are going to teach these grade levels. With regards to the private sector, the curriculum has been made public. and it is, I suppose, incumbent on their organization.
So as of now, you're up to
institutions.
grade 3, no? Because you said you're at
Yeah.
3 and 9.
Yeah.
So perhaps those inquiring are grade 4 and onward. I don't know. I'll double check, no? But we
Yeah.
just regularly have a stream of questions, even on Twitter, asking me, hindi clear kung ano yung change in the curriculum. So that's why I'm relaying that to you, and you seem as baffled as me. So,
I think we have disseminated the curriculum. It's been online since since April.
up to grade 3.
No, K to 12. The entire curriculum is online.
So when you say that you are on grade 3 now,
It's just implementation.
implementation, but the curriculum itself is there.
Opo.
Okay, well then in that case, I will put them in touch with you, those who specifically have questions, because I can't answer those questions. They're too technical for me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Happy to. Yeah. Thank
Okay.
you. Right. With the release of learning resources, what we have are activity sheets, storybooks, manipulative toys for kindergarten. And then we've been working on the development of learner materials and teachers' guides for K to 3 and then 7 to 9. For teacher training, we've done since 2011 summer training of our teachers for grades 1 and 7, more than 140,000 teachers in 2012. Again in 2013, and more than 100,000 teachers just last summer. We've had a lot of engagements with TESDA and CHED and TEIs for this training. In fact, for the training, over just last summer, we've worked with about 92 TEIs in delivering teacher education institutions, in delivering the changes in curriculum for grade 9. And then for grade 3, the DepEd did that training massive training across the system.
Like a layman, like a parent, if I was to attend the parent orientation on K to 12, which I probably missed in my children's school, but I don't know why, but the transition there seemed smooth, seemed seamless naman eh. So I don't really know what the changes are. What changes would you point out for grades 1 to 6, first of all? I mean, because I personally don't know what the changes would be. What are the targets that we're trying to achieve with K to 12?
Well, first of all, the changes in K to 6. First
Yes,
of all,
K to 6.
the first big change is the use of the child's language in the first years of education.
Okay.
So that's the first big change. The second big change is
You're
when
talking about the mother tongue.
yeah. The second
Okay, on the mother tongue issue, the last time, I think it was the budget hearing last year, there was a statement that they were making materials for how many mother tongues? 8 or more? How many?
19.
So did they actually push through with that?
Yes.
So those are being implemented.
Yes, so those are there.
Madam Chair. Yes. I'm interested in the mother tongue that's being implemented from grade 1, from
There.
kinder, up to what grade?
Presently grade 3.
Up to grade 3. And you're speaking about 12 mother tongues?
At the moment, 19.
19.
Then there are other smaller communities that are also adapting the curriculum into their own tongues, like Iranon or Sama, which is not part of the 19.
How did you select the 19 out of the more than 100 indigenous languages?
We didn't select them, ma'am. We worked with the commission, so Wikang Filipino. First of all, there are essentially 12 lingua francae that are pretty much recognized to
So
be
12 major
spoken.
languages. I think there's
Opo.
much more than that.
Yeah, there's more, no? But if
Over 100,
according
I
to
think,
the commission,
133.
depends on who you read. Some of them
Okay.
go as high as 170.
Okay.
So the commission sa Wikang Filipino advised us that if we use like the 12, then it covers like almost 90% of the Philippines. So we need to cover the big languages first.
Yes.
But beyond that, we also need languages with an established orthography, a grammar system, an articulated grammar system, and syempre better kung may dictionaries, diba? As well as number 5, reading material.
Oh,
because
interesting.
it's better.
So, yes, it's good. So from kindergarten to grade 3, you actually have English, Filipino, and the language, the mother tongue.
Yes, but the emphasis changes over time, and as well as the amount of time given to these subjects.
And you let go of the mother tongue after grade 3?
Well, you still use it as a language that facilitates learning or an auxiliary language to help, but the languages that are already used for curriculum content beyond, well, will be used, kasi hindi pa naman, no? Will be English and Filipino.
And we have sufficient materials for 12 mother tongues in the various areas?
For teaching basic math,
For teaching,
yeah, for math, for beginning reading and literacy, for education sa pagpapakatao, we do have. They're being used. A lot of them are also online. The DepEd, together with its many teachers in the different places, have created big storybooks that children can use and teachers can use in the classrooms.
Is there no confusion among the 3 languages, Filipino, English, and the mother tongue for the children?
Confusion in terms of literacy or language?
Literacy. Does it speed up their literacy and their learning, or is there confusion as to the utilization of these 3 languages?
For most Philippine communities, these 3 languages are present. 3 languages are present, so there would be Filipino and English on TV and in street signs, no. But the confusion is, I think, outweighed by the benefits, because the classrooms in grades kinder 1, 2, and 3 are very lively. Children are reciting, are learning the concepts for math and science and AP, Araling Panlipunan, better, and they're more participative. What we need to watch out for, and this is for real, is that we need to watch out for the oral language or the vocabulary development in Filipino and English. And when the children come with it to school, so it's their language that we use. It's not so much like the lexicons or of the English and Filipino. We have the children come with the language, and that's the language we use so that they can express their ideas very early.
There's no lexicon for each of the 12 mother tongues, and there is no mathematics, science, aralin for the mother tongue of that region or that area.
No. Let me clarify.
Okay.
Of course, there's a lexicon because there's a vocabulary, and the children have that lexicon. I think you're referring to a dictionary?
I'm referring, let's say, to materials in that mother tongue.
Developed
materials of the DepEd of that mother tongue.
Meron din po. Opo. The teachers have been working on them. There are big books, there are big storybooks in the various mother tongues, but only the 19. Only the 19. And then there are textbooks that are used to teach mathematics, Araling Panlipunan.
Teachers actually teach in these 3 languages.
Yes, but they use the mother tongue as medium of learning for grades K to 3.
That's the basic medium of instruction, the mother tongue.
Opo.
So supplemental would be English and Filipino.
There would be subjects for English and Filipino.
What is the best area or that I could visit with such a lively 3-language instruction? But I'd like to sit at the back of the classroom and observe how the medium of instruction is done in that mother tongue. Most accessible to Metro Manila.
Siguro, yeah, Pampanga, Baguio, yeah. Very recently I was in Maguindanao, and they were in action, yeah.
Siguro ng mathematics. How do you do mathematics in the mother tongue?
Well, we don't, we're not being purist about it, diba? It's because it's the child's language, diba? It's a child's language that's used. That's the important operative, I think, is that it's what children understand, so that they can develop the concepts faster, because they came with the concepts anyway. But when they are labeled, for example, they're labeled with another language or another term that they're not familiar with, it's harder for them to crystallize that knowledge and turn that into academic knowledge. And so if they use the mother tongue and then later on that concept solidifies. And when you give it another name, it's easier.
Just a point of interesting inquiry. Since we have the mother tongue and we have the three languages in the various areas, do you also teach them baybayin? In short, does the mother tongue have a counterpart script which is equivalent to the baybayin?
No, ma'am.
No.
We use the Filipino alphabet.
Okay.
The
I just-
baybayin is not commonly seen. Yeah, so it is taught in some subjects, like in Araling Panlipunan, it will come up, or in Filipino, it will come up, but it will not be used as the orthography or the script, the writing system.
It's part of the curriculum of AP, Araling Panlipunan.
Yeah, but only a little part.
Oo. So, tinuturuan ng mga bata
Oh, masaya yun.
ng baybayin.
Oh, masaya yun. For very young, for mga grades 4 and 5,
Yeah.
di ba, writing in code is always fun.
Yes.
Yeah, but it's just like that. It's not to replace,
Not to
the
replace.
Filipino alphabet.
Not right beside it and lahat may conversion ng baybayin.
Wala
ganun.
po. Wala.
Can I have a sample of a book for grade 4, for example, for baybayin? If I were to be a student who would want to learn baybayin for the ABC, for the alphabet and basic words, could I have a copy of a baybayin book?
We'll
For the
send you
Paraling
one. With the
Panlipunan.
lesson.
I
With the
want to
lesson.
learn baybayin. Yes, to
Yeah.
write in baybayin.
Sige
With the
po.
permission of
Yes,
Senator Lauren, can we go back? Yeah, I'm just concerned because we have like 24 resource persons, so I'd like to allow DepEd to continue their presentation. And I just for the record, I have a lot of concerns on the use of the mother tongue, but I will hold my questions in the interest of pursuing this the focus of our hearing for today, no, on the K-12 preparation. So we'll take that up on another occasion.
All right, thank you. So the next slide shows us the implementation of the senior high school modeling program. Just to share, we've had a program that started senior high school in 2012. There were 22 public high schools and 1 HEI, public HEI, and 7 private HEIs that actually started senior high school in year 2012, and then another 56 in 2013. And as a matter of fact, next slide shows you one example of a senior high school in Leyte. That so there's Palo, and then there's Merida schools, and they have offered areas of specialization in first tourism, ICT, metals engineering, and land transportation. They've had a small number of graduates in each of these programs, and they're able to help children get employed. Those who graduated grade 12 in industry partners already.
This you had 2 years. You had 2 years already. You did an 11
Just
and
for
12
a few schools, yeah.
for a few schools. How
Yeah.
many exactly? Here, no, this one 22.
20, sorry.
So by 2012, you had
86 po. 2012, we started with 30, private and public. And then in 2013, another 56.
you started, so not yet graduated. Mag-graduate pa lang. Or
They
when is
finished
this?
in April.
They finished already.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, this
This
kids from the
2012 batch,
30.
they finished in 2014. Okay.
Yeah. And the one we're sharing with you in the slide after this.
And what was the track?
Then, yeah,
For
may,
these schools?
may
What-
tourism, only for these 2 schools, no? Only for Palo had tourism and ICT, and then Merida had metals engineering and land transportation.
Tourism and ICT and
And then for Merida, there was metals and engineering, and then land and transportation.
Okay.
These curricula was developed together with their community partner, their industry partner, and usually with the HEI nearby.
okay. Are you going to explain this further? Because this by way of example, which is nice, but are you going to be able to demonstrate to us how the 4 tracks will be implemented in different regions? Like you said, this was developed in that area based on industry partners. So does that mean that when this is fully implemented in 2016, All 4 tracks will be available, and what I want to see is a visual of how in every region, how many high schools, senior high schools will be equipped to offer the different tracks. Will you be prepared to explain that to us?
Can we do that next time? Because I'm not ready with that today.
Yeah, well, of course.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, but that's what we need to see, because when I said that I need to know our level of preparedness, that's exactly what we need to see. Let me just tell you now, so that either you include it now or tell me if you need to get back to us. Included in the basic questions we need you to answer is the number of students, because we are set to be fully implementable in 2016, no? So the number of students who will graduate in 2016 from senior high school, which, well, it's in 2016 who will enter senior high school, okay? And so from there, I need you to show us, to map out to us how many students there are per region and per division, so that you can show us how this is being rolled out in every division and in every region. Because if you go to this detail in this one setting, which is wonderful, we need to see that everywhere, no? So does that mean that if for, let's say, in a particular region, in a particular division of that region, there's a strong chamber of commerce that will support one of the tracks, then we'll only offer the track. That's what we want to see, so that we can, the legislators can comment, can understand how the law that we created is being implemented. Okay.
Thank you. We're going to have to come back for that kind of detail at the number of schools per region and per division, as well as the number of graduating students. However, we do have some information here that might interest you. Sige. We have, for example, just an example. This is Laguna, the division of Laguna. And the brown circles are industries. And the little circles, the different colored circles, are schools. And what we've tried to do is to enable divisions through our senior high school planning tool to be able to identify these resources around their schools, so that they can develop partnerships with industry, with HEIs, so that they can determine what their community needs are for senior high school. So what is also nice about finding these partnerships or building these partnerships, it enables schools to partner in terms of work immersion, or maybe a little bit of a few hours of OJT or a few hours of actually industry immersion for the children. So that our senior high school programs, if they are industry-based, are more real world school curricula and exposure.
Well, in an example like this, it would appear to me that your TLE, do you also call it TLE when it's 11th and 12th grade? TLE pa rin yun?
Tech Voc track.
It's already tech.
TVL.
Okay, so but it's already the OJT, no? I don't think magkukulang yung experience nila, opportunities nila for OJT in a place like this. No, there's no doubt about that. But whether it's a place like this or in a smaller, a less developed region or province, the question is still teachers. So the OJT component here may be fine because Laguna is very close to Manila. The availability of teachers, and I'll go into that problem later, but this is something that you also have to answer, is those senior teachers. And that's something that I mean, I don't mind one more hearing date. It's not gonna change it's not gonna really matter, but that's what we need to see, the matching of these teachers that will man those classrooms of and I don't know the number because I'm waiting for you to give me the number of those students, because otherwise you just have these industries, no, and actual companies that may absorb them, that we know in general have a demand for their skills, but they still have to go through that 11th and 12th grade. So that's really, we need it in hard, like in raw data talaga.
Yeah.
We need to see that.
Thank you. Right, so for the status of basic input, I'm going to have to ask Yusek Francis to help me here. Sige. This is a slide that DepEd has been presenting, no, in terms of basic input of teachers, classrooms, but this is really in reference to 2010. I don't think this answers your question on senior high school teacher and number of student and school matching. Sige. And then in our important next steps, we are presently working on the K-12 monitoring and evaluation system. So we're trying to articulate that so that we are able to track how well we are doing in the rollout of senior high school as well as in the delivery of the curriculum.
Just before you move on, you're right, no? This does not answer my question, but since we're on that, can you just go back to that slide? This refers to 2010 backlog, and then there's a check mark that states accomplished, no? I did mean to ask about this because when the school year started, there was already talks of shortages of classrooms, shorter classroom hours, three-day-a-week classrooms, class hours. So how does that, how do you reconcile that with an accomplished check mark on that? Because before, one of the major concerns of those in Congress when we were debating this bill was our ability to fill all these backlogs in the existing grade school and 4 years of high school before we even entertained the thought of 2 more years in college, no? Additional classrooms, additional seats, and additional textbooks. So unless we're very clear about the grade school and high school backlogs, that question is still hovering over us, no? So I still need these questions just answered as well.
Thank you. With respect to the classrooms that DepEd has built and continues to build, the number of classrooms identified as of 2010 have already been built by DepEd. However, there are continuing...
What are the latest figures on classroom backlogs, teachers, etc.?
Alvin, do you have the slide, Alvin? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay.
The 6 programs.
Alvin, the six programs. Brother. Okay, so DepEd has identified, aside from the starting point, which is the 2010 backlog, identified other factors that contribute to the requirements for classrooms, and these would include the incremental enrollment, from the existing grade 1 to grade 10, which is a basic curriculum before the introduction of universal kinder and senior high school, which will come in 2016. The new programs would be universal kinder and the senior high school, which we are programming for 2016, although in 2014 and 2015 we had already we have allocated additional budget amounts for the early construction of classrooms in 2014 and 2015 in preparation for the 2016 commencement of senior high school. We've also we also face continuing requirements as a result of the need to replace some of our aging classrooms, and the estimate of DepEd here, although this is subject to further validation, is that we would be needing to build anywhere from approximately around 15,000 per year to replace our very old classrooms, some of which are 50-year-old classrooms.
Classrooms have we been building per year since 2010?
We have, as of end of 2013, we had built, not just through the efforts of national government, but including the programs undertaken by other stakeholders, we had achieved the target of 66,800, so over that 3-year period. However, if we look at the current budget of DepEd, we are programming for 2015, for example, a total classroom budget of approximately 32,000 classrooms is what is contained in the budget proposal of DepEd that we hope will be included in the submission by the President for the 2015 budget. So that includes provisions also for not just for the continuing requirements, but also for the early implementation of the classroom construction program for senior, in preparation for senior high school. What we are proposing for 2015 is a total classroom budget of approximately 32,000 classrooms.
How much will that amount be?
In terms of peso amount, so budget. Yeah, we'll give the.
For the classroom, but I assume it will also include the tables, the chairs, correct?
That's just for classrooms, ma'am. But we have.
I don't want you to present the whole thing to us, because when the budget comes, I want to see if your proposal was approved. Because if it wasn't approved, then we have a problem.
Yes, we have a separate budget for tables and chairs.
But I'm sure you'll be the first to say that we want it to be all together, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So that's why I want the whole figure.
Yeah. We will submit this.
If it's separate, just add it up for me. So because we want to be sure that that's all included.
Yeah.
So that's for 2015, and then there will be an additional budget for 2016. I want to see that. I want to see the continuing annual budget that you're looking for.
What we can submit to you, Your Honor, is a copy of our medium-term expenditure program that we submitted to the Development Budget Coordinating Committee. Of course, the MTEP is not always followed in terms of the exact amounts on a year-to-year basis, but at least it gives us an idea of the broad parameters that we are trying to follow in the preparation of the annual budgets.
Okay. And then, I'm not going to go into it, education, so I just want, that's you, right? I thought so, but I wanted to, because over the last 2-3 years you've been here, but I kind of recall that was your expertise. So, 1 year pa lang ba? Okay. Well, it's been it's been a busy one. It's been a busy 1 year. So yeah, I want to look into that because we don't hear much about it. It's at the other end. The focus is all on the 11 to 12. But
Started 2011. Yeah.
yeah, but if you being as well, that being your expertise, then I'm sure you'll agree with me that it is, if not more important, equally important. But nobody has really been talking about it. I do have a 4-year-old, so that is important to me. But let's discuss that in a separate hearing. Let's move on. Go ahead.
These are the important next steps. Like this is the roadmap for full K-12 implementation. We are presently completing the M&E framework. We're developing as learning resources for grades 4 to 6 and 7 to 10. We're also identifying public high schools, this is a partial answer to your concern, which will offer senior high. There's an evaluation of applications from non-DepEd
Can we go back to that?
Yeah.
This number 3, identification of public high schools. That's why it's very crucial for me that I want to see, I literally want to see a mapping in like on a regional level, and then from there I want to see how many high schools do we have and how do you intend to equip them with these tracks. Now, early on, we had discussions where not all tracks will be available in all schools. So I want to know how those decisions will be made. Is it a conscious decision that because of what? Is it lack of resources or just because of the geographical constraints that we have? The first few graduates just really won't have an opportunity to explore other tracks. Will there be mechanisms in place to allow them to go outside of their province or region to explore other tracks? Those are the line of question that I'm going to ask, and whether you answer it now or in the next hearing, but definitely by the second hearing. Not in principle, but in actual, no?
Do our best, ma'am. We've been using a senior high school planning tool, and the regions, the divisions and regions are working on that, syempre, because they're closest to their students, and so we're going to have to consolidate that information.
Well, that's exactly what how I was going to summarize it after we get the opportunity to speak to all the other stakeholders, that you really need to do it on a division level, no? That's really beyond the national. But obviously I need you to be the one to present it to me. So if you need to give us, that's why I said I wanted to see a visual to show that, this region with X number of divisions are on track, this is how they're doing it, because that's what we need to see. You'll need to get the information from them anyway.
We will.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, thank you. Ano ba? Number 4, I think.
Number 4.
Okay, evaluation of applications for senior high school permits for non-DepEd schools, also ongoing. And then there's the refinement and implementation of the proposed senior high school voucher program. But this begins in 2016. Finished na? Yeah. Right, so these are, we are presently articulating, for example, the specific requirements for facilities and materials of the various tracks. For example, in accountancy, business and management, we're trying to articulate who's going to teach that, where they're going to come from. So this is in relation to the teacher concerns. And but also beyond that, we're talking about what sort of ICT you need to be able to have a good ABM strand, what sort of equipment do you need. So we're articulating all these details for every one of these tracks.
When do you intend to have a clearer picture of the number of teachers and the qualification of teachers that you will be needing for the track? And although I'm jumping the gun here, but we all know that it's already a concern. If needed, partnering with the existing HEIs and SUCs on the pool of talent that they have there. When will when do you expect to see this, churned out into a clearer picture?
When we know where the senior high schools will be and what programs they will offer. That's going to be the basis of computing the number of people you need per program. For example,
So I guess my question is, what is the timeline for determining all this? I guess that's the first thing I need to know. What's the timeline? No, because I can ask you, and if you don't have it, then you don't have it. So
well, we should have it by end of year.
End of the year pa.
Kasi we will need to look at children's preferences. Because children will also have to go through their career assessment or career advocacy, advising, and so we need to consider that. We need to consider the learners. We need to consider what sort of partnerships the senior high schools or the divisions will be able to broker so that they can work with these industries or HEIs or TVIs in their localities. And then we will know what programs will be offered. So that's, if we do it from the ground, that's how it's going to work. So being able to identify a number now will be difficult because that's not going to be based on ground information. And I think
So you expect to have that ground information end of the year?
Well, tingin ko lang po.
No, but that's precisely why I'm asking, that I believe you need to have a timeline, because when you say ground of the year, end of the year, you're just saying na, well, you don't have it now, so you should have it by end of the year. So that leaves you with about a year-ish to complete everything. Because if you just have the data by end of the year, that's end of 2014.
It's just not complete. The senior high school planning tool has been in motion. Yusek Lino can explain that better.
Your Honor, starting last year, we have briefed and trained our regional directors and division superintendents on how to plan for senior high school. So they've been doing this. What Yusek Lino means is it's not yet complete.
But give me an example. These are 2 extra years. So obviously these are totally a new set of teachers, or these are a new set of teachers because the existing DepEd teachers have their hands full up to 4th year high school, which is technically grade 10, right? So then you need a whole new set of teachers in 2016 for grade 11 and another set for grade 12. Where are they coming from? That's my question.
Your Honor, so just to clarify, so you're asking not about specific regions or divisions. You're talking about aggregate figures.
Well, for me to get the complete picture, I know at the end of the day, it has to trickle down to the regions and the divisions. So yes. I do want to see it all the way there. If you want to give it to me by way of example, that's fine. But I'll need a lot of examples to be able to conclude that we're ready. That's what I'm saying. I want to see the types of partnerships that are formed.
Yes.
I want to see where did these grade 11 and 12 teachers come from? Are they part of those who are board passers but never employed? Are they now going to be SUC and HEI teachers who have extra time on their hands because of that gap? Where is it coming from?
Yes. Your Honor, we actually have answers to that on a per division level, but it's how do I say this? It's not yet final. It's the work of our superintendents up to this point. And we can supply your office.
Okay,
with
so
that.
in the next hearing, why don't you bring one of the superintendents or a couple of them, or have them brief you so that you can present it by way of example, so that we can see? Because I'm assuming that a lot of regions or maybe divisions are looking for models that they can use, no? So I want to see that so that it also serves as an example.
Certainly, Your Honor, we can do that.
Because later on, when we get to CHED and the HEIs, we're going to talk about the concerns of the SUC and HEI teachers as to their job security during those first 2 years, no? So
That's right, Your Honor. We
Okay.
can provide you with that
Okay.
in the next hearing. Thank you.
For the academic tracks, we would really look forward to working with those who are actually teaching these courses already, or second, those who are practicing in these lines of work. The same is true for arts and design, where we are hoping to be able to harness the community artists as well as the community talent, so that some of them can provide immersion or actually tutoring for children in senior high school for arts and design. The same for sports. We would like to be able to identify, for example, the schools now that are ready with some degree of facility, possibly those where the Palaro Pambansa had been held before, so that we can bring them up and grow them up into sports track programs. And then for TechVoc, we work very closely with TESDA on all the aspects of TechVoc. And
to know, are you prepared to discuss today, not that we'll discuss it, but like maybe you can submit something today, as to what then are the qualifications of a student who finished K to 12th grade in any of the specific tracks? Like, for example, if I were to finish academic track, accountancy, business, and management, does that just mean that I'm prepared to enter college with, to take a business degree because, I've just been trained to think that way? Or will I actually graduate with a TechVoc course that allows me to be a bookkeeper? You know what I mean? That's my line of questioning. Or if I were to graduate from academic track B, science and technology engineering, will I actually have a certificate graduating from something? I want to know exactly what I've accomplished when I finished 12th grade in all those tracks. So for example, di ba there's a teaching track? Nawala na ba? Asan si teaching track?
wala po.
Hindi na ba tuloy yun?
Wala muna. Oo.
Oh, I didn't know why.
Because we felt that we needed to concentrate first on the more general tracks, no? So because if you put in specialist tracks na masyado, then you require a more special teacher also, and it's harder to deliver.
Well, anyway, I won't argue on that. But so for that matter, arts and design, no? So of course they learned a few things, but will they actually have a certificate program? Can they actually will we be able to say that meron ka ng certificate sa graphic design, pwede ka na maghanap ng trabaho for graphic design or for I don't know, some basic advertising, yun yung tanong ko kasi ang pagkaintindi namin mula nung umpisa, under the K to 12 program, meron ka ng competencies kahit hindi ka na mag-college. Right? That was the objective, na meron kang option to finish this with a specialization.
Academic strand. It may be a TVL strand, but what we've tried to do is to make that consistent, for example, with HRM, right? And then all these courses, allow these courses to bridge TVL and HEI. But the real bridge to college is the core curriculum.
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
But like kasi I'm familiar like in other countries which is very, I think, non-existent here, no? In other countries, they have in the junior or senior year, they can take a course and they'll say this is already a college credited calculus course. Diba? So pagdating nila doon, magpe-present lang sila. I don't know if they take a test or they present a certificate that they already took that calculus, they already took that trigonometry, economics, and they basically finished already almost one sem of classes, which tipid na. They don't have to pay for those courses anymore, and no repetition. So is that our track also? Is that also the
That's highly selective, ma'am. That's very selective even in other countries. Not everybody can take college prep courses.
So, but I mean, is that available?
That we can make that available, yes, maybe for the science high schools perhaps, or something like that. But at the moment, at the level of programming,
Yeah.
we're not yet thinking about that.
Okay,
Come on.
but the reason why I feel like wala akong problema kung sabihin mo na it's highly selective na, maybe only those who are really, gearing for that higher academic degree, fine, kung konti lang sila. Pero, for example, in TechVoc, without K-12, nag-graduate sila ng parang 10th grade, diba? Graduate na. Then pumasok sila ng TechVoc, whether it's 6 months, 1 year, they'll have the certificate of something, right? And under the ladderized program, which is existing in many colleges now, and we are now institutionalizing it by way of a law, that will now be recognized, diba? Yung credits mo dun sa TechVoc course mo na 6 months or 1 year, pwede mo nang gamitin to pursue college. So that's basically what I'm saying, and I want to be sure that that's going to happen. That one is. So
Definitely.
those are parang college credit courses na rin, correct?
Well, they're
I mean, my
courses.
terminology might be wrong, but
right.
it is, right? You're saying that whatever credit you can get from finishing this TechVoc track should be credited onto college later on. Tama ba? Because
For CHED to say, I think.
no, whether that's for CHED to say, but that should be part of the whole K-12. That's part of the whole K-12 system. Kasi otherwise, mas okay pa tayo na walang K-12. In other words, forget K-12 for a minute. As it stands right now today, you can go to, and I've been there personally in the last 4 weeks. I've been to Bohol Island State University. I've been to West Visayas, WVSU. And ano yung katabi niya? CST. All of them offer these ladderized programs. So we're not talking about ladderized. I mean, we're not talking about K-12. Right now, pag nakatapos sila ng 1 to 2 years, they can go out, they can work, and they can come back and go on to college and makikredit yon. So I'm saying, if we're going to say K-12 now, may TechVoc ka, then dapat ganun din. Tuloy-tuloy din na ma-recognize into a college degree. Because right now, those same TechVoc that you're offering is available. And it will be credited. So why won't it work when K-12 is in place?
Your Honor, I think, basically, if you have Voc Tech in senior high, a student who takes that track can go to college. I mean, theoretically, can go to college.
Of course, anyone
But
can
the crediting would depend upon what program that person is in.
Of course.
Yes.
No, of course. I mean, of course, it will depend. But what I'm saying is, if that same TechVoc is available now through TESDA, through PUP, TUP, BISU, and all these other TechVoc colleges in the country, it should, and a lot of these 6 months or even 1 year up to 2 year programs are now going to be available as an 11th to 12th grade program already. Why should it not also be convertible into college credits? That's the challenge. I'm saying, dinagdagan natin ng 2 years ang mga bata for K-12 na ginagawa na nila ngayon.
I guess, Your Honor, it will be K-12 and then 11 to 12, and you have a Voc Tech course. And if you have a ladderized program, I guess it should move towards the ladderized program and be credited at that level.
Well, but that's what I am saying. That is part of what I believe is the job of the implementing agencies, to ensure that whatever programs exist today as TechVoc that can be ladderized, that are already recognized as ladderized program, more so should be considered here, so that they finish with their certificate program and can stay as a certified whatever, pero pwede nilang ituloy into college yun, whether right away or 1 year later or 2 years later. Bakit naman hindi? I'm a little bit concerned kasi parang that doesn't seem to be something that was considered, because otherwise nakabigat pa tayo dun sa mga batang magte-TechVoc under the new K-12 program than those who don't have to go through K to 12 now.
So, Your Honor.
Yes, Deputy Director General Irene Isaac of TESDA.
Thank you, ma'am. Yes, the graduate of 11 and 12 will, in the TechVoc track, will graduate with a national certificate, because it is mandatory that those who go through 11 and 12 in the TechVoc track will go through competency assessment and certification.
Of course.
And so TESDA issues the national certificate. And in the ladderized program, the national certificate is recognized, and as such, whether you got then the competencies for the national certificate in 11 and 12 or from a TESDA program, it will produce the same national certificate. And so I see it as you say.
Is what you're saying right now, but that is precisely what we want K to 12 and DepEd's objective to be. Sayang naman yung 2 years na yan that we're not aligned with those competencies. Pinag 2 years mo ng TechVoc yon, tapos we didn't give them the kind of programs or subjects or training that will allow them to pass those competency exams. That's my point.
But we are aligned.
Okay, but it didn't seem that way while I was asking the
I
question.
thought that when I said that we were consistent with TESDA's trade regulations, I thought that's aligned.
Okay,
yeah.
well, maybe we're not
The NC
understanding
also,
each
yeah.
other, because I want to be very clear that those 2 years that they will spend after 10th grade, diba, 11 to 12, whether nga, sabi nga ni Deputy Director General, whether you take it as 11 to 12 or later on as TESDA, or as it is now, they take it as TESDA, basta pumasa ka dun sa competencies na yon, may certificate ka na nun. And those are also, many of those are part of the ladderized program. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, that part, yes. Whether, however, all of those can be credited to a college degree, I don't think DepEd can answer that. That's what I mean. But whether we are consistent with TESDA, yes, we are, in terms of the TechVoc track.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, the K-12 program is definitely a program that requires TESDA CHED, no? So I definitely understand that there are certain things that you need to pass on to them. But my point was, somebody has to answer for that here, and she made it very clear. So we can move on. But that was my point. I wanted to, as I gave TechVoc as an example, pero I also want to see kung ano nga yung outcomes mo when you finish any of the other tracks. If there is. If there's none naman, if all it is to say that, no, we just prepared you for college, then that's what it is, di ba? But that's what I want to be able to see. That's what I want to understand. And I'd also like to know which college courses are currently considered lacking in content, such that this K-12 program was meant to improve the content. In other words, as we speak today na walang K-12, I'm told that yung education curriculum natin is lacking in content compared to ASEAN countries. That's what I'm told. And therefore, it's the K-12 preparation that will bring it up to par, such that pag-graduate nila ng K-12, pagtungtong nila ng freshman year, kapareho na sa ibang bansa. That's what I'm told. Am I making myself clear? So that's why I want to understand, ano yung dagdag na value nung K-12? If it's saying that, because when I travel and I meet our OFWs working in a lot of the Middle Eastern countries and some ASEAN countries, they'll say, naku, ngayon tinatanong na yung ano namin sa engineering kasi kulang daw kami ng years sa high school or college, whatever. So that's my line of, so I want to know exactly what are those gaps that we are filling. Yes.
Perhaps I can answer at 2 levels.
Please.
One level is the lack of 2 years actually makes a difference. For instance, makes a difference with other countries. In our case, it was compact, so most of us who studied here, we didn't see the difference when we were studying abroad. But now it begins to matter. So for instance, I was explaining to our to the Philippine Science High School Strategic Planning Group, that basically in Thailand, I was telling the story about Thailand and the Philippines, and then I was saying now they're questioning our degrees. They call to find out whether this degree is a degree that they will consider to be a college degree, because the level is not at the level of their schooling because of the lack of 2 years. And they're explaining to me that there are, for instance, faculty members, teachers in Thailand, Filipino teachers teaching science and math. They're performing very well, they're outstanding, but they get the lowest pay because they lack 2 years. So basically, if you're talking ASEAN, if you have a very bureaucratic mind, the lack of 2 years does not really matter. Some countries who accredit some schools, so in other words, even if you lack 2 years, if the school is accredited, Australia for instance, then they consider that you are equivalent to them. But in the case of other countries that may be very bureaucratic about the 2 years, it makes a big difference. So in other words, we might be making our people more vulnerable to exploitation, because they will be hired. They're very good. They will be hired, but they will not be getting the kind of pay that they should be getting at that level. So that's at that level of why it's important. The other level is, why is it not at the same level as the other countries? It's because in the GE program, for instance, of higher education, many of the courses are remediation courses. In other words, they're taken in 11 and 12 in other countries. So basically what we're doing is we are bringing the remediation courses in college to senior high, so that the GE program in college is not remediation. It's not to make up for the lack of good math, but it's really to develop a more holistic way of looking, a more analytical frame, etc., etc. So the perspective would be different. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Sige. This is the voucher program.
Part of the implementation plan for senior high school is the inclusion of an expanded voucher program for senior high school, and this will extend the support and benefits of GASPE to senior high school students. There are pragmatic reasons for doing this, which include the issue of helping address the reduced enrollments in HEIs.
If I may, I'll cut you off only because I'm familiar with this. I may have to have another hearing on this.
Okay.
I understand that the lower house had a hearing on this, and it was very, I think there was a lot of concerns. There was a heated debate. And I actually also have my concerns, because from what I'm hearing is that the enrollment through the e-GASPE method is slow, mababa. Ang sabi nila, it's one reason being given is precisely because maliit lang yung GASPE, and kaya nga nagre-request na taasan. Pero the requested increase, I think, is 1,000 or 1,500. What was it? 1,000, which is still very low. It's not enough to subsidize a private education. That's the information I'm receiving. So we may need to rethink. You may want to look at it. So when I ask for another hearing, or if we just have a consultation about it, kasi I'm full support for programs like this that will get more kids into high school, whether it's through a private high school. Well, basically it's usually private high school, no, sa GASPE program. Pero kung yung karagdagan na binibigay natin, yung pondong yon, it's 6.5, right? 6.5 to 7.5, right? I think that's the increase that's being asked. It's not enough. Then the kids are still not going to go to that high school. And that's the reason why we feel it's not working. So I'm speaking from personal knowledge that I have, like in the case of Taguig, I think they give 10,000 because that's how much it costs for a parent to be able to subsidize their kids' private school education. Hindi sila nabubuhay sa 6.5. So that's
10,000 is for the entire Metro Manila. 7.5 is for other parts of the country. But Your Honor will be happy to discuss this
Okay.
program
Yeah, like I
in
said,
greater
let's
detail in
save
another
that for another
hearing. But I just
Yeah.
wanted to make a general comment that the design of the senior high school voucher program is significantly different from the current design of the GASPE program. And we'll be happy to talk about the details in that hearing. In fact, in terms of the amount, it will be significantly higher than the current GASPE amounts.
because it's more expensive. Well, first of all, high school is supposed to be free. So if they go to public, the current GASPE is only to allow students to go into a private high school, di ba? To decongest the public high schools or the lack of public high school facilities. So for this, public high school, bakit kailangan meron?
This is to allow students, most of them graduating from public high schools grade 10, to allow them to move, if they choose to do so, to
farther area.
non-DepEd schools.
Okay.
I wouldn't use the term private because this would also include state universities and local colleges.
Which
But
are still functioning as 11 and 12 schools, but
it will be open to them. Right now, the guidelines of DepEd allow HEIs
to function,
apply.
to get
apply.
to get a license to
Correct.
operate 11th and 12th. Okay,
That's
senior
right.
high.
That's right.
Okay. That's why. So that's why
Yes.
kailangan may ganito, may pangtawid because ano na siya, may
To
gas, mas malaki ng
enable
gastos.
that choice by
Okay.
giving that subsidy to our students.
Okay, understand. Okay. Next. Is that it?
We have a final slide on senior high school teacher requirements. For example, this is just the more general one. For example, licensed basic education teachers with necessary training or experience, depending on track or depending on strand. No, we also would be working with teachers who are or specialists in other degrees, for example, business or humanities or social science. And if they move to the Department of Education on a full-time basis, then they have a 5-year window so that they can take their licensure examination. If they retain or maintain being part-time with the senior high school, then the licensure examination becomes optional.
I wanted to explore that because I asked that question in the budget before. Graduate of courses with short and qualified licensed teacher applicants, they must obtain their teacher's license within 5 years. Okay. So they can start teaching, but within 5 years they have to get their. How long does it take you to get a teacher's license? I mean, how many courses do you have?
18 units, ma'am.
18
6
units.
Courses,
Do you know for a fact, well, of course, you probably can speak for UP, but I don't know others. How aggressive are we in facilitating this application for teachers' license? I asked this question almost for like 2-3 years, and I got tired of asking. Because I know so many people, women, who graduate, work, get married, and that's it. They're extremely talented. A lot of them graduated cum laude, valedictorian, and they have time on their hands. But it's not that easy. It's not that convenient for them to go back to 18 units. That's actually, well, that's one sem. Is that one sem? Not really. You can't really finish it in
full time. Better 2 SEM so that there's time for internship.
But that's the thing, and the other bill that we just passed is also distance education, no? So through distance education, through other means, can we just make that a little bit more easier? Because I just feel that there's a wealth of, and I travel so much, those of us from Manila, I'm one of them, of course, we think the world revolves around Manila, but, I go all over the country, and ang dami-daming talent dyan. And in the same way that there are women who get married and tend to their small family business, sometimes big, they have time on their hands and they're brilliant. They as I said, they're academic excellence, graduated with honors, and we should tap them, no? So you'll have more people who can qualify for that. So if you can expedite this program between now and then, that might be a little solution, might fill 5% of the gap of these teachers. I could be one of them. Yeah, seriously.
Actually,
because technically, I'm not qualified, diba? I don't have a license.
You're only entering as a part-time teacher. There's even no need for a
Not at all.
Yeah.
Ever
And
since,
so-
or is this kind of new?
No, this is for senior high.
Oh, see, that's why. Because when I asked this question before, nung wala pa yung K-12, no one told me that, na pwede kang pumasok ng part-time, or at least it's not encouraged, I don't know. Anyway, it's good to know.
For senior high, it is a possibility.
Okay, so within 5 years, and then may pressure lang within the 5 years.
If they prefer to become full-time. But if they prefer to
So if
become
they will
part-time,
continue as part-time.
then there's
Also,
no
let's
need
have
for a
an-
let.
I digress, no? But let's have an aggressive campaign on that kasi ang dami. I mean, yun nga, I go to these far-flung cities pa rin naman, no? But I'm overwhelmed by the wealth of talent that we find there, underutilized. Anyway, let's proceed.
A few points na lang po. The other one, syempre, that we would really like to work with for senior high school are those who are graduates of TechVoc courses. And preferably those with industry and workplace experience.
Okay.
And then full-time HEI professors who might want to move to the senior high school or concurrently straddle between senior high school and higher education. And of course, practitioners who will teach on a part-time basis. For example, community painters or sculptors who might be engaged as faculty for arts and design courses or humanities courses.
Okay.
So there we go. I think that's the last slide. Am I right? Yeah, the rest will be presented
Okay.
by Dolan.
Just so we can move along, I knew that this would take longer. Can I just ask you, we didn't finish my question on the what are the actual changes in the curriculum. We only got as far as mother tongue, but I don't wanna use the time of this hearing anymore. But I would like to get it within the hearing. So either at some point I'll just ask someone to approach you, or if you need to pay attention during these presentations, then a little bit later. But within the day, because I do have some concerns about it. Okay, and then if I do get the information, maybe I can still ask it on record. Okay, thank you. So who will present now? Ched, can I get Ched first?
So, Madam Chair, originally we were going to have an interagency presentation with DOLE, but that is because that's on the impact on labor. But maybe we worked very closely with DepEd on the K-12 curriculum of the academic track through our technical panels. And then, as I mentioned earlier, our GE curriculum was revised because of the courses that are remediation courses that are no longer going to be taught in college, which means that CHED actually had approved college readiness standards for different courses, so for math, for science. In other words, these are the expected qualifications of those who are going to go to college in college readiness. So K-12, because the remediation courses went to 11 and 12, actually will allow us to implement our college readiness standards. So that's your question about whether whether our first-year college is going to be equivalent to the first-year college in the ASEAN.
In other words, in 2018, the college curriculums will also change such
No,
that...
actually they're being changed now. There are two changes that are happening. One is the shift to learning competency-based standards, because we're still very teacher-centered, and many qualification standards are learner outcomes based, and therefore they're competency based. And our policy standards and guidelines for all our programs have to shift to learning competency based standards. Apart from that, there's also the other shift. I mean, we're shifting to learning competency based standards, and as with the program itself in relation to K-12. If many of the courses are going to 11 and 12, then even the length of the college degree might be affected. So that is all ongoing. The learning competency-based standards curriculum until 2016 at least would be available, at least the drafts and the public hearings would be after that, towards the end of the year. Exactly how long college will be, that one we should know very soon, because that very soon means immediately after the end of the year, after the shift to the learning competency-based standards. So all of this, Your Honor, are being crammed. I mean, in a sense, we should have done this a long time ago, but the paradigm shift was slower in the Philippines because we're really so teacher-centered. So it's, yeah, it took longer for us, or maybe we did not realize how important it is till now. And there are areas where we are suffering because of this, our lack of inability to understand the necessity of shifting. And that area, for instance, is maritime education. They have forgone, I guess, sorry, I have my... In terms of forgone and...
That represents the gap, no? So in first year, that's for 2 years walang freshmen, tama ba?
Yeah, walang
freshman and sophomore, no? Walang freshman and sophomore. And then the following, in 2018, you...
Wala kang second year and third year.
Yeah.
And that means forgone college enrollment of about 4,235,000 students. Now, our private higher education institutions don't get subsidy, unlike in other countries. So basically, they're tuition dependent. So in effect, they're small, and therefore there will be a tremendous effect on them. Now, in terms of the number of teachers that will be affected, our very preliminary estimates, and these are preliminary, they're macro estimates, are not based on actual data school by school, is that it will be about 33,000 teachers at its peak. Because, well, we'll have different figures every year, but then chances are those are the same teachers. But at the peak, which is 2017, I believe, it's about 33,000. This is a projection that was made by our colleagues in the Philippine Institute of Development Studies, and they're here. But the data is very preliminary. And we also got some data from a survey that shows it's also very nuanced. So, for instance, the full-time faculty, there are more full-time faculty affected in the schools, in the extreme schools, not too much. Those below 2,000 and those above 15,000, more of them in the mid, in terms of percentages, in the middle. Part-time faculty, however, will be highest where you have the biggest institutions. But those are very, very preliminary. We are actually undertaking studies together with the UP Population Institute. So basically, working also with our regional people, school by school data, exactly how many faculty members will be affected, profiling of faculty members, because this is moving towards how do we now mitigate the impact of K-12, both on the higher education institutions, which have to actually, those deserving, because people are saying, oh no, but what if you are really substandard and you really don't need to survive? But in any case, the serving or qualified higher education institutions, because they're small and they might not survive, your labor problem might be bigger if they're not able to survive. And that's for that reason, for the task force that actually did some work on options for mitigating the impact. One of the options was the stabilization fund, but that's something that's just being discussed. It's being proposed. We are still in the process of discussing with different groups, that, including DBM perhaps, but that our original proposal was really HEI, stabilization support for higher education qualified higher education institutions. But then, because of the impact on employment, our colleagues in DOLE actually brought in the labor package that should be part of the stabilization fund. We're not prepared to discuss that now because we're still really in the process of going into the details.
We don't know yet. You don't know yet how the stabilization fund would be used. Who would be the recipient?
Yes. Those details. Not yet. It's we are now. How big is that fund? How many? It's really assessing the impact, not just at the level of the general surveys, but level on the ground, including DOLE's efforts to actually profile. But that's where that is, Your Honor. So, of course, our task force recommended other options, including the ladderized option and how this can be done. Now, you will have faculty members who will be higher education institutions who will have faculty members who will be remaining there who may not have students. For the SUCs, it might be easier to say, okay, this is the time to actually let them study. For private institutions, it's a little bit more complex because of the precariousness of their situation. So all this, Your Honor, will have to be worked out. We hope to be able to have estimates by January 2015 or the end of the year that are clearer, so that the plans are also more concrete, and also
In those vacant freshman slots? Is that what you meant, or did you
for-
mean
for the-
something else?
no.
When you said,
no,
when you just
the
mentioned
general
ladder-
proposal is really to have something like a junior college program, the ladderized program, so that it also ladders from the TESDA 11 and 12.
Okay, well,
At the moment, that's not yet really being systematically harmonized.
well, the next speaker I'm going to call is actually TESDA, but let me ask this question still in connection with the statement you made about the ladderized program. Director General Isaac, yung about the existing certificate programs and the competencies, precisely why I was asking earlier about what kind of certificate programs or competencies will come out of the K-12 that are already existing in tech-voc colleges, institutions, no? So that nawa-wipe out ba yung tech-voc institutions not just during this transition period, but because it's already available in 11 to 12. And if the answer is no, then how come yung mga graduate ng high school ngayon pwedeng dumiretso sa tech-voc, ngayon magtatagal ng 2 taon? So I'm sure there's got for some courses dapat covered na yun nung senior high, no? I would imagine. Kasi otherwise, parang pinatagal natin ng hindi kailangan. That's my first concern. My second concern is going into that transition period na may gap na walang enrollees. When you look at 2014 graduates, does DepEd have an estimate, DepEd or CHED, as to how many students actually go on to college after graduating high school at present? 20? 25? 20. Okay. So you have 80% that never went to college, di ba? Kahit umpisa mo pa natin sa term ni President Aquino, so 2010. So how many high school graduates offhand?
20, around 500, 1.4 million students in high school.
Okay, and then you're saying roughly 500,000 go to college. That's the intake? Yes?
Well, actually, the numbers shown earlier indicate a higher number for freshman intake, no?
But from freshman to college, so how do we estimate that?
But roughly, Your Honor, it works out around the same number because our grade 1 cohort is around 2 million students. So 26% of them entering college would be roughly in the 500,000.
Okay.
But I think the college enrollment is higher because I imagine there are students who did not graduate that previous year who would enter freshman later.
Okay.
Freshman later.
Well,
So-
anyway, that's
The estimate of PID is about 64% of those who graduate go to college.
from high school. Okay. In any case, more or less, in the next 2 years, you'll see about, if you're saying that that's 60%, so you have about 40% who didn't go. I don't know if you have the data, but are these 40% who are not going because of financial constraints? Most likely, no? Because I think Filipinos, the traditional Filipino way of thinking is to get a college degree. So my question is, are we exerting efforts to bring back, whether it's through that GASPE or something else, bring back the students who did not go on to college in the last 5 years, but are still very much in within that age, to go to college? They're probably between the age of 16 and 21, to bring them back and fill that gap between 2016 and 2018, because that's a lot. That's 5 years worth of more than, if you get 1/3 of that population per year, that's more than what you need to fill in a college, the college enrollment for that first year and on to the second year. Just a thought, because yun nga, you have those, I don't know if you call them dropouts, but they no longer pursued college, and they're out there. So whether they come in for a certificate program, TESDA, or college, they would still be entering freshman level of something. So you have those students out there. Actually, they'll be the ones left behind. Just a thought. If you've, I'm just wondering if you've thought of them.
That function of the scholarship programs, that maybe if the fundamental or the most common reason is financial.
Well, but then that might be one way to utilize that stabilization fund in a very productive way. Because I'm sure the professors in the instructors in the SUCs or in the HEIs are not asking for a dole out, diba? And I would like to think that neither are the HEIs themselves. They just want a job, and they want their business to continue. So if you give them students, everybody's happy. So something that you should consider.
In a way, the voucher program works along those lines, Your Honor, because we are in fact allowing the HEIs to participate in the senior high school space, and we are enabling the market for them, because this is actually a market that has greater resources, because right now the market is dependent on the financial resources of the family, which under the voucher program we are supplementing with government subsidy. So it's actually, I would like to say that the voucher program, in fact, is a very critical component of the government's response to this issue of the missing enrollment. Of course, without prejudice to other programs that may be developed, including the stabilization fund. But that is a major program for which we are willing to commit significant resources. Yes, except that the senior high school space is being opened to the HEIs.
Yeah.
So we're now inviting actually HEIs to get senior high school, not just to teach, but even really for them to offer senior high school programs, get that license from DepEd, and actually offer senior high school programs.
That's for the HEIs to offer senior high school programs. But there would still be students or teachers who would not either be interested or, I don't know if not qualified, but then they could still continue to offer their college programs to these other students who were left behind from having graduated high school and not having moved on to college. In other words, they graduated 2-3 years ago, not doing anything, just have no funds to go to college. So, you know what I'm saying? It's targeting a different demographic. These are those who are now going to go to college to fill the gap of the empty college classrooms, and not as senior high students, but as college students.
That's right, Your Honor. That's why you could actually have a situation where an HEI that is able to develop an effective plan can actually increase its own enrollment.
Exactly.
If you just look at the numbers,
Yeah.
if they're able to offer this new program and get, let's say, the same intake, and then continue to offer college programs that would also attract additional students, that's possible. But of course, there are issues of matching of skills of the teachers. Compare this to the subjects that need to be taught, and those have to be ironed out by these institutions in coordination with DepEd and CHED, of course.
The main question that I want answered is, what is the difference between the existing TESDA programs that a high school graduate can avail of, and what will be available in senior high school, and what is available now in 2 years of TechVoc college program?
Thank you, ma'am. the national certificate as it is the same national certificate that are embedded in grades 11 and 12. So the same national certificate that will be issued by TESDA is the same for the TESDA course graduates and the 11 and 12 graduates. What is different is that the core subjects that the graduates of 11 and 12 will have all the core subjects of mathematics and etc. That will allow them to go to college later on. That is the new ladderized education system, because the current ladderized education system just embeds the NC into the bachelor's degree. Later on, because the requirement of the bachelor's degree, the GE requirements will change in 2016, then the ladderized program will have to change. But the national certificate per se will be the same. So whether you're a graduate of 11 and 12 or a graduate of a TESDA course, once you show the national certificate to an employer, it lists the same competencies. It lists the same competencies that are required of the qualification.
So will that require a major change now in the course offering of the TechVoc institutions? Because, well, but my understanding is they are the ones offering these TESDA programs. So if the student will now be taking it as a part of their track in senior high, and that's really the track they want to follow, let's say they're not going to go to a college course, at least for now, what will they take in their freshman and sophomore year in a TechVoc college? Wala na.
The TechVoc institutions offer the short courses. These are not 1 and 2 year courses. The duration of the courses are so dictated by the units of competencies that are found in the qualification. So we don't count hours, we count the competencies required of a program.
Yes, I understand. What I'm saying is, what is the difference between what they will take up in senior high and in the TechVoc college? If the time that they will spend in senior high, you say you don't spend time. Okay, it's not the time, but the point is they have 2 years now in senior high, which without K-12, they would have gone straight to a TechVoc college. So, why will they go to a TechVoc? Bakit pa sila magte-TechVoc kung nag-senior high na sila? May reason pa? Wala na.
Wala naman.
Oh, wala na. Yun
Once they graduate of grades 11 and 12, they would have all the technical competencies required.
Correct. So
Yes,
that's my question. So therefore, that will entail a revision also of course offerings in the TechVoc institutions, because a lot of those who would have gone to them would have finished that course in senior high. Is that correct?
For national certificate levels 1 and 2,
Correct.
they would not need. But the TechVoc institutions can still offer levels 3, 4, and 5.
I understand that, and I thank you for the clarification, but that's not my issue. Of course, all I'm saying is, yung mga beginner courses na yon, na normally they will take up right now when those who graduated in 2014 would be going straight to the TechVoc this June, they're there. In 2016, they will be taking it up as a senior high student, correct? So I'm saying whatever it is they finish there, hindi na nila uulitin yan in TechVoc. They will only now go to TechVoc institution for higher. And is that now where you're saying, Commissioner, that you now have to, change all these things to be sure that, because
We have to harmonize the ladderized
that's what
program.
I'm saying. That's my question. Because we just want to assure parents, students, that there's no duplication. I just want that on record. So in other words, with or without K-12, kaya tinapos mo yan as a senior high student na may TESDA certificate ka o tinapos mo yan in a TechVoc institution, TESDA certified, pareho lang yon. Okay? So, once na tumungtong ka pa sa TechVoc college after your senior high, higher certificate programs na yon, either as a ladderized program to a college degree or just higher levels of certification. Correct. Okay. So anyway, is there anything else you want to add to the whole picture?
Just to say that our current concerns are is the test the capacity to do the teachers training required of DepEd for the national certificate, because they will be required to have the national certificate, because you cannot teach what you do not have. To be able to teach welding, you have to prove that you have the welding competencies. And also for our capacity for competency assessment and certification, because the demand for assessment and certification will multiply as we will be certifying also for the K-12 students. Also, we are currently monitoring the partnership arrangements that are being negotiated between basic education institutions and TechVoc institutions, because some of the basic education institutions who want to offer 11 and 12 but do not have facilities and other requirements can partner with TechVoc institutions. We're monitoring that. We still don't have the numbers.
Do you even have an idea as to whether you have enough TechVoc institutions all over the world, all over the countries that strategically located to partner? In other words, sufficient na ba ang existing HEIs and SUCs to partner with high schools to meet that demand?
No, ma'am.
And you can already say now na no. And that's why you really need to train new.
Actually, ma'am, the problem is in geographical location, because the distribution is very uneven.
Yeah, of course.
And so there are rural areas that are offering tourism where there are no tourism facilities. So it's the problem is mostly geographic.
Well, then again, those areas could be areas where there's basically nothing there. So they might as well offer something and export their services. Sometimes, I mean, that's a sad reality. It doesn't sound politically correct to say that there's nothing there, because there's always something, of course. But I'm just saying that nothing that has been ripened into a viable economic activity in that sense. So if all the existing TechVoc institutions are matched with basic ed institutions, kukulangin pa rin, no? That's what you're saying.
That depends on the capacities that DepEd will have between now and 2016. We're discussing that with DepEd.
Okay, those are actually the details that we would want to know, because we want to be sure that no one is left behind. And what exactly do we do, no? Because I mean, at the end of the day, these aren't statistics, no? They're human lives. And so if in a year and a half we find that there's a mismatch, what do we do? No, these are serious questions. Do we push them towards a track that they're either not interested in, or, well, one of our speakers here is Dole, there's no demand for, but there are it's just that those are the teachers that are available. What do we do? That has always been the concern of a number of legislators, no, in the pressure to approve K-12 program, and the solution has to come from you who are all implementing it. Anything else? Okay, give me 1 second. Anyone needs to take a bathroom break, go ahead. I'm trying to organize the next set because this is basically the presentation of the key stakeholders. I'll call Dole very quickly. As I said, it's not the focus, but you need to be part of it. And I just need to organize. So if anyone wants to take a quick bathroom break, go ahead. Let's resume. I'll call on Pasok followed by Kokopea. Are you ready? Are you making a statement or did you just want to attend and answer questions? It's up to you. I just thought if you want to make a statement, you can make a statement.
Yeah, Your Honor, just a statement. Today and tomorrow, PASOK is holding a conference trying to assess the impact of Q212, impact in terms of how many faculty will be affected and the part-time faculty, and also impact in terms of how much resources available we have, laboratory facilities, the classrooms, so that we can consolidate this and offer this to DepEd. These are the mapping of available resources for the 111 issues in the country.
Okay.
And we'll be submitting also a copy of this result, the result of this workshop to your office, Your Honor. Thank you.
And of course, you'll include there specifically the concerns of the those in the teaching profession, no? Kasi aside from the HEIs, the SUC as an institution, the teachers, of course, and of course later on we also have representatives from the non-teaching personnel. No? But
Yes.
let us know the different concerns of the different sectors within your institution.
Yes, Your Honor. That's the main purpose of that conference, trying to assess the impact to the teaching, the faculty and non-teaching personnel.
Okay, thank you. So then I'll call on Kokopea. Is it Attorney Estrada? Are you going to be the one? Who's the one? Or Attorney Abad?
For the Catholic Educational Associations of the Philippines, and then Attorney Abad can speak for the entire Kokopea.
Oh, so entire Kokopea muna because SEAP naman is a part of Kokopea, no? So dagdagan mo na lang yung sinasabi niya para hindi tayo pa ulit-ulit. Okay, Attorney Abad, please.
Well, the biggest problem really is in connection with the financial aspect of the fact that there will be a lot of faculty members and non-teaching personnel who will be dislodged as a consequence of the drop in enrollment. So it cannot be denied that from 2016, 2017, we don't have freshmen and we don't have sophomores. And then the following year, no sophomore, no third year. On the third year, no third year, no fourth year. And in the fourth year, no fourth year, and so on. If there is a fifth year, like engineering, you don't have that. So, as far as our survey is concerned, that is going to cost private education all over the Philippines over a period of 5 years, about 50 billion pesos. 158 billion. Now, because of this, there are a lot of labor issues which will have to come into play in connection with the implementation of K-12. What will happen to these faculty members who are going to be transferred from first year to sophomore college down to teach senior high? Now, the problem that would arise there insofar as the issues which were discussed in the TWG, or K-12, a tripartite working task force, which was created precisely because Congress somehow forgot to consider these labor issues while they were passing a law. Is one, would these teachers be considered as they're having gone down a demotion in rank?
Just for the record, I don't think Congress forgot that. I know for a fact many addressed those concerns, but the pressure really to pass a K-12 law was very strong. Congress did not forget that. I know that those issues were discussed. Just for the sake of other members of Congress who were not here and actively expressed those concerns, for the record.
Okay. Now, also, as far as demotion in rank is concerned, would their pay be the same as those that they are receiving while they're in college, or will they be paid according to the salary structure in high school? And if so, would that be considered as a diminution in pay? All right. Now, as far as these two issues are concerned, it is our position that provided there is an agreement between the faculty member concerned as far as demotion in rank and diminution in pay is concerned, that they go down and they accept by way of agreement that they're going to receive that kind of a salary in accordance with the salary structure in high school, and that the rank that they will be receiving, having college will be in accordance with the rank as it is determined in high school, then there will be no demotion in rank and no diminution in pay, subject to agreement of the parties. Actually, this is in accordance with neutrality of contracts, in accordance with the provisions of the Civil Code. Now, the other item that we had a very difficult way of solving in the TWG is in connection with these faculty members who are going to be separated from the service because they could not anymore teach because there is no senior high in that particular institution, or perhaps the number of enrollees in the senior high would not be enough to give them any load. So, if they are going to be separated from service, would this be considered as retrenchment, or is this redundancy? Now, under the law, under Article 283 of the Labor Code, retrenchment is allowed because of expected losses. Now, it cannot be denied that the private higher education institutions will surely lose during the transition period. That expectation cannot be denied. All right. So it is our position that the payment should be under the provisions of retrenchment. That is, 1 month pay or 1/2 month for every year of service, a fraction of at least 6 months equivalent to 1 year. It is the position of labor, however, that it should be redundancy. 1 month or 1/2 or 1 month for every year of service. Now, we say that, under the provisions of the Labor Code, the implementation of either retrenchment or redundancy as a management prerogative is at the initiative of the employer. But this time, it is not at the initiative of the employer, but triggered by the provisions of a law forced upon the employer. So therefore, it is quite unfair and unjust that it should really be the employer who should shoulder the burden of the separation pay. To my mind, labor and capital, at this instance, the employer, the institution, and the non-teaching or teaching personnel concerned, must share the burden equally for the betterment of higher education. So that is our position, insofar as whether it is retrenchment or whether it is redundancy. Now, it is likewise one of the vital issues during our discussion that the non-teaching or teaching personnel be allowed to go on leave for a period of 2 years or so, and then be allowed to come back to the institution without loss of seniority rights and also without loss of tenure. Now we're saying that insofar as these faculty members teaching first year and second year, they cannot go back anywhere. They have nowhere, they have no subjects to teach anymore because all of them have already been transferred to senior high. So the subjects they're teaching in college will no longer remain in college. They have been brought down to senior high. So they cannot really go back to the institution, especially if the institution does not have any senior high school.
I just like to get clarification both from TESDA and CHED. I don't know enough about qualification of teachers, specializations of teachers, to be able to react to that. But is it ganun ba is the qualification of our teachers that narrow that because a student has gone through senior high, suddenly a teacher is no longer qualified to teach any subject? Doesn't any additional teacher training qualify this teacher to teach other subject matters? I mean, I think that's such a narrow way of thinking of it, no? It's such a I mean, that's again, I do not claim to be an expert, but that seems to be so narrow. You know, sa Tagalog, babaw naman ng tingin natin sa education system natin or sa mga teacher kung iisipin natin na they cannot transform themselves into educators of a slightly different specialization just because nag-senior high yung mga bata. So maybe I can get a reaction from the others.
Your Honor, actually, that's what the figures will give at the end of the year. But what this is you have faculty members. You have different kinds of faculty members. You have faculty members who teach both GE courses and the other non-GE courses. You have those who just teach specialized, and you have those in some schools, not in all, but in some schools who are actually hired just to teach particular courses. So they are the ones who are most likely to be affected. Yeah,
limited offerings, not the only offers.
They're only teaching this specific courses because unless the school expands, because you have a given population of students, you have a given set of teachers teaching particular specialized.
Also has to do with the offerings of the schools, no, not the teacher itself.
Yeah.
So the teacher as a human resource itself hindi ganun kakitid naman yung mundo niya, except that when placed in, let's say, a small institution, no? Baka yun lang yung opening doon. That's what you're saying.
Yun lang posible ang tinuturo. But that's what we will actually be able to give.
Yes.
Aggregated.
But again, this is where we all have to, I mean, this law is what it is, no? And unless it is repealed, we just all have to work together to find the solution for all these people who are affected, whether they're students, HEIs, and teachers, because yes, there are people affected. Like any revolution, and if you want to be positive, let's assume this is a positive educational revolution, people will be affected. Like my favorite Central Park in New York City that everybody raves about. Why don't we have a Central Park in the Philippines? Because to do that will require na patanggalin mo yung mga tao, they leave their homes, you break down You make businesses and people in their residential homes leave, and we need the political will to do all that. I mean, that's just my little spiel on all this. No, there will be casualties, there will be injuries. The question really is how everybody will work together to. But I mean, I do appreciate your pointing it out. No, but I just was a little bit surprised, and I wanted to be sure that we acknowledge that our teachers do have options, and it's really a question of how to create more opportunities for them given this roadblock that is kind of in the way. So anyway, if you can just summarize, no, I think with the details that you are going into, that would be best be in a position paper. I don't have time to go through all that. Pero wrap it up, and then I'll listen to the other sectors.
We are going to submit our position paper. As a matter of fact, I think it's there already.
Okay.
Now, in any case, there is one other item that perhaps should be taken into account, because some of these private higher education institutions would also implement a floating status for these teaching non-teaching personnel who may not be needed during the transition period. Now, of course, we do not have a specific provision in the labor code which governs floating status. We only have jurisprudence in this regard. But it allows employers to put an employee on floating status for a period not longer than 6 months. But there are certain schools where the teachers are more interested in the fringe benefits of the school, like sending their children to school free. Some of these, and they are asking if they can be placed on floating status for a period longer than 6 months, provided that their children be allowed to study in school and get the benefits.
These are very valid concerns, well taken. I personally, being a lawyer, being a mother myself, daughter of an educator, I'm very interested in it. But let me just read it. But these are things that are valid concerns. Oo nga naman, I acknowledge that a lot of these benefits hindi naman siguro matawag na fringe, no? They're serious benefits that the teachers avail of that may be equal to or sometimes even more important than a basic salary. But maybe you can write that down for us, no? So we can also have time to listen to the other concerns.
We have included all of these in our position paper, Madam Senator, and I think I submitted already earlier prior to our hearing.
Thank you. Did you want to add anything, Attorney Estrada?
Just very quickly, Your Honor. The CAP has concerns pertaining to transition on curriculum and other administrative concerns, but there's a continuing dialogue with DepEd to address this. And the biggest concern really is on the financial impact brought about by the perceived lack of enrollment starting 2016. And as already presented by CHED, it is not only for 2 years. It is actually 8 enrollment years that will be lost starting 2016 to 2021. So during a 5-year period, 8 enrollment years po yung mawawala. So the concern is on the sustainability of the institution.
5, ang tansya ko 5, bakit naging
8 enrollment years po kasi during the first year of implementation, 1 enrollment year po ang mawawala, enrollment on first year. On the second year, 2 enrollment years po ang mawawala. Second and third year. So during the 5 years.
On the second year, 3 na yon, tama ba?
Tama po.
The first 2 years, yes. And then the first
one.
Okay.
Sunod, another 2 and then another 1. So, yun po ang siguro dapat linawin din. So, kanina, as already mentioned, 158 billion po for the entire private education sector na ginawa po ng isang financial expert. Now, that's the biggest problem for the private education sector, sustainability of the institution, and of course, the corollary problem on the displacement of teachers. Now, our position on that is that the law provides options for the faculty. It also provides options for the institution to cushion the impact, no, on labor and operation of schools. And the Department of Labor in the recent issuance also affirms all of this, no, options for us. And there are also options, no, that the schools may exercise based on the institutional policies. But then again, while these options may reduce the number of faculty that may be affected or displaced, there is really no guarantee that everyone, how we will cope, how we can keep our faculty during the transition period, and how we will deal with displacements and mobility of faculty during this time. Thank you.
I have a question. Director General Isaac has to leave, no? So let me just ask this one more question before you leave. Given the I guess international standards that we're trying to achieve, no, but also the reality that to a certain extent many regular Filipinos their personal lives are not affected by those international standards if they're not going to go abroad, or they don't know that the courses they're going to get into will ever be subjected to those. The funds to going to senior high school and under, right? I'm assuming, we assume that under the Constitution, high school is okay. So those funds that would have otherwise been utilized to go into, kahit naman SUC, kahit papano, may gastos din naman ng konti, and obviously sa HEIs may gastos, it's not going to be spent. Part of it is coming from the private sector, part of it is coming from the public sector. It's in a way, it's not going to be spent. To a certain extent, the funds that would have gone to SUC education is now transferred to the senior high school, di ba? Parang ganon. I mean, if you look at the limited pie, that fund that would have gone to support these kids going to 2 years of college is going to senior high. My question is this. Has it ever been considered for it to be an option to have some kind of certificate given to you at the end of 10th year pa rin, your 10th year, such that out ka na sa system na yon, for whatever it's worth, if you have to come back and get certification, well, you're nodding, so let me let you take over, because that, and then the next question to that is, kung out ka, can you go straight to an SUC to higher education, and if so, limited ba yung options mo because nga you didn't complete? That's my question.
There will be a certification or a qualification awarded at the end of 10th grade.
Okay.
And then again at the end of 12th grade.
Okay.
Right.
So we acknowledge the
prior to
difference.
2018, yes, you can go to college with a high school, with a 10th grade diploma.
Okay, prior to 2018.
Yeah.
Oh, so yun naman pala. Oh, so may isang option na yun. But what's the but?
Why? 2016. Sorry, ma'am.
Prior to 2016.
2016. Oo.
Okay, but
Prior to 2016. Sorry. Wrong.
Okay,
2016. Oh.
Okay. So, but what's the difference? What's the difference? You cannot go to college.
Without senior high school.
But you can go to where? You can go to TechVoc. So that's the thing. Oh, yeah. But that does address the concerns. That does address one of my questions earlier, right? So if you skip your senior year, but you decide to go to a TechVoc in an SUC, pwede. So may window kayo doon. So marketing, so pwede sila mag-market. They can draw your I'm not suggesting anything. I'm just saying that that window is there. Yeah. Now, can you well, then it boils down. It almost boils down to the same thing. I was going to say, if they draw the graduating 10th graders to the HEIs as they normally would prior to 2016, and offer them GE subjects anyway, then technically they could also give them that 12th grade certificate, correct? So in other words, no change.
Open na senior high.
So parang no change. So actually, if in terms of and I'm not gonna try to solve this today, no. But in terms of, if the way I see it is whether you try to attract them because you are now a accredited senior high school, or you are continuing to be an SUC but providing subjects that would be credited as senior high school years, there's nothing that prevents you to do that. And I won't try to solve it now, but that seems to be a big market to me, if you ask me, mukhang malaki yon, hindi joke yon, ano? I would think there is some kind of displacement pa rin, but that seems pretty big. Again, you can make a quick reaction, but I'm not going to try to solve that now, and by all means write to me, but that seems like that bridges a big gap. That seems to me, in my limited understanding. You want to make a quick reaction? Quick lang, kasi then I'll move on to the other resource person.
Actually, that's allowed po because the HEIs are allowed to offer a standalone senior high school program. But then again, it will not be able to compensate for the loss of enrollment in college. And also, the students cannot go directly to higher education without going through senior high school. So, nandun pa rin po yung delay.
If you heard what I said,
Yes.
you either accredit yourself as a senior high school provider,
Yes.
or you continue as an SUC offering your tech voc programs, which a lot of the tech voc institutions offer. Baliktad kayo, pero ngayon may accreditation kayo for those tech voc college programs to be considered senior high equivalents. So tuloy lang din.
That's also an option.
It may not apply though too much for those that have a more academic
Yes.
track. And like I said, this is really for
Konti lang yung
this
TBI,
discussion is a little bit technical. You can, we just want the outcomes of your discussion so we can see whatever else we can do. But let me now call on other representatives here. I have not called on Dole, so I want to have a separate hearing all for you, but just offhand in this discussion, what would you like to add?
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Our basic input this afternoon, ma'am, actually delves on the joint guidelines that we have issued in close coordination with, particularly as articulated in Section 31 of the IRR of the law. So we are ready to submit this to Your Honor, as well as our action plan that has been crafted jointly by the four agencies present this afternoon, Your Honor. Ito ho, this addresses, for example, prioritization in the hiring of the teaching and non-teaching personnel from HEIs to the senior high school. Also, in terms of the issues that have been raised a while ago, kinaklaro lang ho dito yung non-diminution, ito ba magte-take into effect, and whether we are retrenchment or redundancy, naklaro na di naman ho ito. And based on the consultations that have been convened of late, nagkaroon din naman ho ng consensus relative to the two issues. So both, Your Honor, in terms of the action plan, we are ready to present this afternoon, but as Your Honor mentioned a while ago, this may not be the principal focus. So
And it's so detailed. It really requires a separate hearing, and I would really like to be be more familiar with it. I'm more than happy to read it. It is an interesting topic to me, especially with the input that I've gotten. So let's really schedule this for something separate. Para naman we can give justice to this issue, no? Kasi medyo masyado talagang maraming issue. Like I won't waste the time of some people here, so let's hold it. But it's enough for me to know for now that you have this. Some practical questions were raised, and then let me get back to all of you on that.
thank you,
Okay.
Senator.
But am I done with the lahat to? Wala na to. Lahat ng private sector. So, Kotesco na. O sige, and how many teachers group? Huh?
Teachers group, Potesco pa lang.
Oh, that's all.
Wala si ACT and
So, one lang.
TDCS.
I'll call on Kotesco. Where is
Center.
Kotesco? Who else is representing teachers? Teachers Dignity? Who else? Siliman. So, civil society representing the whole country's concerns? Dulo ka na. Kasi, so maintindihan per sector civil society, so, okay, so let's call on Kotesco first.
Good afternoon, Madam Senator. Good afternoon, everyone. I will just make my presentation very short because Attorney Abad has already delineated the issues. Okay. First, we are not against K-12. We also sympathize with the plight of the school owners concerning the effects of the K-12. But at the same time, we are rather saddened, and that something must be done about this, that while we promote employability of our graduates, we at the same time make a lot of our teachers unemployed because of the lack of enrollment. We know very well that this will, and this was mentioned already, that there will be retrenchment, there will be redundancy, there will be retirement, and it will affect 86,000 of our faculty members at one time or the other, and another 15,000, I guess, of the non-teaching personnel. And it's not just retrenchment, redundancy, or retirement. It's also a question of loss of income because of deloading. If before, a faculty member can teach full-time, he can only teach part-time. So, malaking problema yon. So, also, we'll see a lot of people who are too early to retire, but to their job. Okay. And also, I think that the issue right now also is ganito, kinakausap ng management yung faculty member na, mag-retire ka na lang ngayon and later we are going to rehire you. So, parang lumalabas, magkakaroon dyan ng contractualization. At saka nawawala yung tenure. Alright? Tapos, you have to understand that pag nawala yung faculty members, yung employment niya, wala din yung mga benefits like free education. For example, as I always give UST as an example because I came from that school. Four of our in parent, 4 na anak niya libre sa high school at saka sa elementary at one time. So, ganon. Grabe ang effect nun. Also, my health insurance, my hospitalization benefits. So, and also, a lot of teachers have problems with existing obligations nila like pag-ibig, housing, marami yun. Ngayon, ang tanong, pwede naman sila by the way, but I have to react immediately do sa statement ni Attorney Abad kanina, kasi ang mangyayari, parang pag pumayag yung faculty member to go to high school, pero babayaran sila na mas mababa, pag pumayag yung teacher, hindi daw diminution yon. Pero kasi wala namang parity I mean, if you are vulnerable, you have no choice but to...
That's salary standardization. And then a comparison with the SUCs and HEIs, diba? We can see that TES would be receiving. So, in high school, choose like the benefits, no, which can also be quantified and is probably makes the salary issue even negligible. But it's still nice to be able to see this in paper so that we can see how bad the problem is, what are those gaps, if there will be some kind of stabilization fund that would be provided, ano ba yung gap, no? Because otherwise, masyadong nasa langit yung pinag-uusapan natin Let's ground it and let's look at actual figures so we can try to really see what are the gaps that we're talking of. And if we're talking about 86,000 faculties affected, of course, 86,000 faculty affected, but if we can say 10% are retained, 100% sure tayo, sige, that's minus 8,000. You know what I mean? Or the other 20%, they will be able to be absorbed by DepEd at salaries equivalent or higher than what they're receiving sa benefits na nakakatalo. So, you know what I mean? Let's quantify it, no? I know that takes time. It's a process, but I'm putting that on record. Can your tripartite or whatever group of yours come out with the figures working with them, no? So, we can be guided accordingly. Otherwise, my session will just be a griping session, no? You just all get the opportunity to say something with the camera, which isn't really the intention. We'd like to the extent that we can, try to help solve the problems. Anyway, go back to you.
Thank you, Madam Chair, Madam Senator. Ang issue dyan, ano ko lang yung salary kaagad. Siguro, pag kinumpare mo yung high school teacher ng private tsaka high school teacher ng public, maaring mataas yung sa public school. Pero pagdating sa college, medyo mataas yung sa college. Ito pa lang, nag-survey na rin kami. But of course, certainly it should be TED, we should be able to cover every school. 1,000 a month. And we are talking here already of 25,000 teachers in Metro Manila out of the 86,000. So, if you're going to ask that the teacher to go to to senior high, mababa yun. Parang pag 35 or let's say 40,000, bababa mo siya sa senior high. Ang sweldo nila 30,000. Malaki yung impact.
We acknowledge that. That's why I was just asking for a study, because for those who are situated far from the metropolitan areas, there may be some easier solutions there. Metro Manila will always be a problem.
Okay. Okay. May I? Tapos, let me also react yung sa DOLE DepEd TESDA CHED joint guidelines. We are against that guideline, although we were part of it, but I think they never listened to us, in the sense that it would still, it's parang ano pa ngayon, additional ammunition for the school owners to really remove us or to, to yung diminution of benefits and things like those. So talagang issue yon na dapat pag-usapan mabuti.
Yeah. We would be happy to receive specifically, because I will read this soon. If you can give me a position paper on this specifically, based on the specific sections here that you have a problem with.
Yes.
It will help me, go through it better and understand your position.
All right. So again, nakita namin talagang contractualization yan, nawawala yung tenure kasi importante sa university yung tenure kasi it also connects with academic freedom. Those are, I think, known by CHED very well. Now, regarding the 30 billion stabilization fund, medyo murky pa to kasi hindi pa makadefine mabuti yung CHED tungkol dito, ano ba yung gagawin nila, so malabo pa sa aming pananaw. Also, I think in yung statement nila dun sa Kongreso last time, sinabi they need a law for this. Ang issue lang po namin dito is if you need a law, it takes time to have a law. And dun pa lang 2016 na. Ngayon pa lang 2015 nagsisimula na magtanggalan. So how will that law cover?
Simple lang 'yun. Ngayon pa lang maglabi na kayo sa Congress. Really. Ngayon pa lang, that stabilization fund should be conceptualized, should be presented, and
although nakakalungkot na, dapat kasi ito, yung mga bagay na ito, napag-usapan na noon. Ayaw ko nang bumalik, pero that's the truth. I mean, parang nag-K-12 tayo, pagkatapos yung mga ganitong bagay, nawala. Parang, the labor issue is so important, but we cannot just understand why hindi man lamang nakita kaagad and no mention of displacement, what to do with people who will be displaced, dun sa batas. So, talagang hirap kasi parang hindi talaga natingnan o nalimutan. Tapos, I think ang isang importante pa dito, sana, whether when that law will be crafted, kailangan may participation yung mga stakeholders. Kasi I think other people here will also state na talagang yung labor unions, associations, faculty associations, hindi naman po kami nakonsulta doon sa crafting ng K-12 law. None at all. In fact, we volunteered ourselves, we invited ourselves in the crafting of the IRR.
Well, just for the record, I wasn't chairman of the committee then, so but I know for a fact naman everyone know that in fairness lang to my former colleagues, everybody knew that it was being discussed. So everybody was welcome to contribute. But tapos na yun no? I'm just saying that hindi ako yung chairman noon kasi tingnan niyo noon ang dami-dami nyo, but we're taking time to at least hear it when we can, and I'm pretty sure that my former colleagues would have done the same as well. But anyway,
Madam Chair, can we just kaya nga we would like to engage government, so we have some proposals here.
Yeah, just submit it to us. Most of those details really will really have to be resolved on the on the level of the implementing agencies. But we are happy to look at it to the extent that it might require a law, that our persuasive powers may also help come up with something beneficial to most.
But that has to be quick because as we have said, 2015.
Maghanap ka ng mas mabilis sa akin. Sino?
Well, we hope that you will really help us.
I'm just saying, look for somebody faster. Be my guest. I mean, I think my record speaks for itself, so I do what I can.
But quick point kasi ngayon meron ng mga issues like sa Miriam and other schools, no. So I think what's important right now is to protect the security of the educational sector, particularly the teachers who are being made to suffer the brunt of this. Medyo ill-prepared talaga.
What I suggest is that you you ensure that the dialogues continue, because I haven't had a chance, to be perfectly honest, to go through this. It looks general. I think there are some specifics. As you said, you have concerns. So work it out na the details because this won't end, no? And the best situation you can get is the best package possible, no? It is what it is. Like I said, unless the law will be repealed, this is what it is. So what we're really looking at is what is the best case scenario we can have for all the stakeholders, especially those most vulnerable. So when it comes to labor, of course, ang pinaka-vulnerable as I see it are those in the teaching profession. Clearly, let's recognize that is just as important. As you said, no, as we try to create jobs, we're also creating displacements. No? That is a very valid concern. And your dialogue should not end just because these guidelines have been created. So I just encourage you to continue the dialogues and look at the specific instances, especially even on a district level where you'll be able to find more concrete solutions on the division levels. I mean, go lower to the division so you can find solutions there. Yeah. But anyway, let me read your position in more detail so that I can also contribute a little bit more to the discussion. Let's listen to the others so we get the bigger picture, and then we'll take it from there.
Thank you, Madam.
Thank you. Dr. Wait, sandali. May isa pa bang group? Or kayong just so I know, Dr. Vic Aguilan, TDC. Oo, yon. Sige. So, si TDC muna, Mr. Benjo Basas of Teacher...
Dignity Coalition po,
Dignity
Madam.
Coalition, okay.
Magandang hapon po at sa lahat-lahat po, lalo na po sa inyo. Kasama ko po yung mga teacher from Manila and Taguig, ilan sa aming mga leaders. No? So mahaba na po yung araw natin itong hapon.
Mahaba na nga.
So, ayoko na sana magsalita, pero kailangan sabihin lang po ito. No? Sa pananaw po ng
Dagdagan mo
public
na lang
school
yung
teachers.
sasabihin niya. Huwag mo nang ulitin.
Yes, sir.
Kung alam na
Yes,
natin,
Madam, of
para
course. Yeah. Opo.
emphasize yung mga hindi pa natin alam na issues.
Yeah. Yes, ma'am. Marami pong nasabi na yung doon sa presentation ng Department of Education, at nagpapasalamat po kami unang-una doon sa intention nitong batas, no. And actually we appreciate some of the features of the K-12 program, especially the ICT, no, yung mother tongue, no. Kindergarten system, no, which are part of the K-12 program, and of course the senior high school, no, kung saan yung mga bata, well, according to the promise of the K-12 ay magiging employable, no, after this, no. But then lahat po ng ito, lahat ng bagay na aming na-appreciate ay meron pong mga kakulangan din po, no. In fact, sa field ngayon, no, kakapasok lang ng mga report sa amin, hanggang ngayon ay wala talaga yung mga IMs, no, yung mga instructional materials, no, na supposedly
Yusek, yun yung tinatanong ko kanina, no? Isabihin mo na, isubmit mo sa kanya yung mga sinasabi mong kakulangan. Kasi, hindi, yun din kasi nakakarating sa akin na reports eh. So, can you just give it kung, sabi naman niya online, pero I don't know kung ano yung online na hinahanap niyo pa na kulang. Ano ba?
I'd like to clarify po, no, yung online. Actually, yung online po, hindi siya kompleto, no? Madam, no? Correct me if I'm wrong, no? Hanggang grade 9 lang, no? And hindi pa siya masyadong, grade 9, no, at hindi pa siya accessible. Of course, yung grade 10 ay next year pa yun, po. And then doon sa elementary, gayon din.
Sabi mo grade 9 hindi pa accessible. Sabi niya available na, hindi ba?
Ma'am, mahirap po yung access, no, doon sa lalo na sa mga lugar na hindi maayos yung
So it's
internet
accessibility because of lack of internet connection?
Yeah, perhaps, no.
Well, let's clarify it kasi kung internet connection, hindi naman kasalanan ng DepEd yun. Although, it is still their job to find other means to get it to you. But I just want to clarify.
Yeah. At one point, of course, yung accessibility at connection,
one
no,
issue.
sa internet po, no. Pero ang mas mabigat doon kasi supposedly itong instructional materials, textbooks, no, supposedly dati meron tayong textbooks na pinamimigay po sa public schools, and in fact, no, yung Filipino po na textbook mula nung 2002, nung simula po nagturo ako sa public school ay wala po yun, hindi na po provide, po. At hanggang ngayon po ay ganun pa rin yung problema natin, yun po, no, yung aming mga challenge, no, sa Department of Education. Every time na nagbubukas yung ating school year, no? At hanggang sa ngayon po 3 taon na ito, no? Actually magtatatlong taon na, no? 2 taon at 1 buwan na po natin na ginagawa itong K-12 at hindi pa po namin maramdaman ano po yung kompleto, no, na provision, no, ng ating gobyerno. Kaya po basahin ko na lang yung 2 huling sentences, no, dito sa aming statement, no. We urge the Senate to review the K-12 law and consider the capacity and political will of the government in further implementing this program. Or we may forget about it and its promises and subsequently suspend its implementation until substantial fund allocation for the program is met. We urge this honorable committee and the Department of Education to initiate a genuine dialogue and a wider information dissemination or consultation. Finally, we challenge, I may sound political, no, in this one, but finally, we challenge the President, no, President Benigno the third to solve all these problems in the school system. If he has the political will to enforce this disbursement acceleration program, even without the legal basis to do so, we call on him to provide all the necessary funds to public education system and to do it in good faith, no? So, ang sinasabi po namin dito, simple lamang naman, ano po, ang allocation ng pondo sa lahat, no, ng problema sa edukasyon ay napakadaling gawin po ng ating Kongreso at of course with the approval of the chief executive, no, at kung sino man yung namamahala sa ating budget, no. Kung yun po yung ginawa, no, prior to so many attempts and trials po, no, dito sa ating education system ay wala na po sana tayong pinag-uusapan ngayon, wala tayong problema at inuulit ko po, we are in full support of the Department of Education and its quest for greater education budget. Marami pong salamat. Magandang hapon.
Kung specific concerns mo, no, I'm very interested in it. That's exactly what I was mentioning earlier. So, since you represent a lot of teachers, bigay mo sa akin specifically, copy furnish mo ko kasi gagawa tayo ng allegations where we're questioning the program. I really want to know kasi you're also calling on me to conduct a thorough investigation. Ito na nga yun. Given the limited time that we have, ibigay mo sa akin in writing yon. We would be happy to sit down with you and our staff. Either USEC can also give us a staff or you can meet her separately. I don't really care which way we do it, but I personally want to know ano yung kakulangan kasi may nagre-report din sa akin pero wala rin naman detalye. So ikaw na magbigay ng detalye
yes, ma'am,
as soon as you have it.
Sorry. In fact po, meron po akong 2 pahina ngayon na ulat mula po sa field, no? But siguro initially pwede ko nang ibigay, no, dito
bigay mo na sa staff ko para while I'm finishing these others, they can look at it na. Kung may time lang na iput on record ko ng mabilisan, I will, and if not, then in the next hearing. Kasi we really want to know because at the end of the day, tama naman yung sinabi mo kung walang political will to fund it, hirap na hirap tayong lahat sa program na to. Totoo naman yun. I've always had that concern na will we really fund this program the way it's meant to be funded? So I do not disagree with you, but I think it will make for a more fruitful discussion if we have more concrete examples. Okay?
Thank you, ma'am. Yung specifics po nitong mga reports coming from the field po, ibibigay po namin ng mas maayos, ng mas maayos presentation.
Sige, and then kung kailangan mong karagdagang panahon, kasi gusto ko rin makatanggap pa kahit na in the next 1 week or 2 weeks, kasi marami namang facets yung problems natin so we can delay the discussion on that for let's see.
Magandang hapon po sa inyo. Napadala na po namin ang aming posisyon sa usaping ito. Ang ating patatak magkaroon ng boses, lalong-lalo na sa institusyon na kanilang pinagtatrabahuan. Sapagkat parang lumalabas na ang K-12 ay pwedeng gamitin o abusuhin ng mga ilang nasa kapangyarihan o sa management. Sinasabi po namin, pwedeng gamitin. Hindi naman namin sinasabing pwede pong gamitin. Dahil po meron ho tayong pinapractice ngayon, tulad ho ng, at nasabi na po yun, it was already mentioned a while ago, na there's a possibility of, not a possibility, inevitability of those teaching in the college will have to slide down to the senior high school. The word hiring is used. There is a problem when you are hired. You start from zero. Then you have to undergo the probationary period. Again, this can be invoked by management. There is a jurisprudence na dapat wala ng probi. But the problem is the word hiring connotes you have to undergo the probationary period. And for the teachers, that's actually 3 years. So, matagal ka na nagtuturo sa college, bibigyan ka ng probationary period. And it's possible na wala mga benefits if you're a regular at you are probationary, you're going to lose your benefits. That's no. Yan po ang isang kailangan klaruhin sa batas. Another points that we want to clarify, and there's a lot to clarify, is the status of part-time teachers. Because with the word part-time, I think in the labor code, it's clear that you cannot form a union, you cannot negotiate. That's the reason there are now attempts, and we have information that some faculty members are actually being reclassified as part-time. Matagal na po silang regular or may tenure, but because of certain jurisprudence, walang MA or walay license, they had to reclassify their status. And I know, if I'm not mistaken, 50% of tertiary teachers, they don't have MAs. So they will be reclassified as part-time if they are employed. The problem now is they're not going to be protected by our labor code in terms of organizing and in terms of union benefits. So the position of the union is we have to revisit this status of the teachers defined as part-time, because there are teachers who are part-time but
committee hearing with the Committee on Labor, because baka hindi na kaya ng powers ko to attend to all the K-12 issues on top of the labor issue alone. It's a big issue. That's all I'm saying. It requires due attention.
Your Honor, I think there must be a mechanism that the ordinary teachers association could actually participate. Yes, I agree with you, Your Honor, that it's hearings like this, it's open to the public. But since teachers' organization are not a national organization, we don't have a nationwide organization.
Well, there is also representation in Congress. That is one.
That's one.
This hearing is another.
Mm-hmm.
I'm assuming that when you have implementing rules that affect teachers, they're invited. So I think there are quite a few. Well, you should be.
Actually, we were not. There were consultation, I think, done at the national level, but those invited are coming from Manila, external. So.
Okay.
So that's maybe I think labor.
So my staff made an exception for you to give you a chance. So, hanggat kaya naman we do, but it's also not humanly possible for us to hear every voice. So that's why we have associations to speak
what
for
we
each
are
other.
suggesting, ma'am, the consultation conducted by different government agency. I don't know is it mandatory? Is there a provision in the law where government agency, when they conduct consultation at the regional level, mandated if there is actually two parties involved, could the other parties, I'm not sure.
I think your best opportunity is to speak to more than one teachers group, teachers representations in Congress. I think they would be the best. If there's, I would be happy to look at it, but I'll just be very practical about it. My ability to divide myself might be limited. I might not be able to go into that detail. So I think your congressional representative might do you justice a little bit more than me. Okay, so let me continue. We have about 5 more speakers and we are running out of time. I just want to ask if the Civil Service Commission, DBM, and the PIDS have any statements. If so, can we keep it brief? As I said, the direction here was more on status lang of the program, so okay. Yes, I'm getting there. We also have Ms. Raquel Rapirap from the non-teaching personnel. We have UP College Education, and from the civil society, from ENET. So let's go to yun na nga. Kayo nga, Ms. Raquel, di ba? Ikaw ba yun? O, ikaw na yun.
Good afternoon to everyone. Thank you po, Senator, for giving us an opportunity to be heard. And thank you for making us feel na we are as important. I even joke na magtatayo na kami ng party list because of what's happening. Now, we will limit our issue. 3 issues lang po ang i-discuss namin today. First is that we would like to request po, we do not want to be reduced sa ratio. Last time kasi we heard na for every 4 faculty members, there will be 1 non-teaching personnel who will be displaced. We don't feel na dapat naka-ratio lang kami. There should be as much as possible, close man lamang sa figures. And even if the 8,000 pa rin ay malaki. So we feel the need na there should be a data that will support the number of non-teaching personnel who will be affected. And also, there are two groups of non-teaching personnel. There are those whom we call the academic support group. These are the librarians, guidance counselors, researchers, and those who are working the UHS or University Health Services. This group are licensed professionals. And these people too, there is no provision in the law na will say na, okay, they can go and teach in DepEd. And what will they teach? The checkers of the classes, the cashiers, the teacher checkers, and those who are working in the registrar's office. Of course, pag nagbawas ng number of enrollees, you don't need 10 cashiers pa rin. You will close the other half na if you don't have students. So, we are thankful to DOLE kasi they are the sole agency who recognize us. Kaya nga sole representative ako for the non-teaching personnel. Wala kasi kaming representation katulad ng ACT or PA teachers. Wala ho kaming ganun, Madam Chair. So, yun po yung una namin point.
Kokopeya, SEAP, PASUK, don't you have like a subcommittee? Something like, I mean, just somebody she can work with. I feel so bad for her, like she's all alone, which is true. Which is true. I mean, she represents such a big sector, no? So, sana naman, mag-friends naman kayo. I mean, on the lighter side. No, but seriously, kasi tama yung ano niya, like, may data ba? Di ba? Hindi nga talaga napapag-usapan. So, can you organize yourselves? Can I serve you coffee at umupo kayo dun sa kanto? No, it's a valid concern, no? Let's not leave them behind naman in the discussion. Baka meron din kayong mga, like I said, I don't know rin, no? I'm sure.
But in fact, we belong to the same school, Far Eastern University. She's the president of our non-teaching personnel. And, you know, we have rapport.
Okay, pero mukhang siya lang nga.
Well, perhaps it is about time that the leader at this point of the non-teaching personnel establish a national organization of non-teaching personnel. I will help you do that.
Thank you, Atty. Abad. And also po sana, Madam, Honorable Senator, kung pwede po, when they do the study on statistics on how, in figures on how many non-teaching, pakiconsider din po sana yung salary wage po sa ng mga non-teaching personnel sa private HEIs. Kasi po, ibang-iba po ang sweldo namin those who are working in DepEd. Ang librarians po namin, ang entry rate pa lang 28,000 na po. Entry rate pa lang po ng licensed librarian ho yun. You cannot get a good librarian by giving them yung kumbaga lesser than what they should receive. So, sana po yung sa stabilization fund, makonsider po yung sweldo at least man lamang sa NCR. Hindi po yung, we feel degraded last time when we heard na 15,000 lang ang ina-allocate for us. We think we are, kumbaga, ang sweldo namin is not at far read it. I haven't seen anything written about the non-teaching force. You have those professionals din po to support. Hindi po dapat siya limited lang sa teachers. Kasi marami pong subsidy ibinibigay. Pero a university or institution, hindi siya magiging established without the support staff. So baka naman yung IGASPE, since na i-re-evaluate at they are trying to study it again, baka pwede naman i-reconsider na po yung mga non-teaching personnel na who can be qualified or for the criteria that they will set. Kaysa po talagang limited lang po sa teacher, sa mga teachers. Yun po yung second point ko sa IGASPE. And ang third point po is that we understand that there is a voucher system that will be provided sa HEIs. Ang problem po namin, ang question po namin doon is that paano po ang procedure? Kasi wala kang nabanggit sa procedure. Who will be prioritized? There are 1,000 of HEIs. Pag binigyan ng voucher system ng DepEd, who among the HEIs ba ang mapaprioritize? Will they be prioritized in terms of losses? Will they be prioritized in terms of how many will be displaced? paano po ba yung voucher system? Kasi po, kung ang takers po niyan ay nasa HEIs, paano po ang procedure? Wala akong nabanggit kahit ano about the procedure. At since nandun po ako sa area na yun, baka naman pwede yung mga nadi-displaced na faculty members and non-teaching personnel, maging priority sana yung kanilang mga anak na hindi makakapag-aral because they just lost their jobs. Diba? Sila yung nadi-displace. Baka pwedeng isama yun na at least ma-prioritize sila kasi mawawalan sila ng trabaho.
Concern because if the HEIs cannot absorb the students whose parents are now displaced, at the very least, I think they should be absorbed by the SUCs. That's my position. I mean, everybody has to contribute in helping, but of course, ideally, I'd like to see the HEIs try to absorb those students. But those should be addressed.
Ang last point ko po, yung tungkol po dun sa transition period pa rin po. Your committee po can help us with the definition po ng transition period in terms po ng application po sa labor component. Since magkakaroon po kayo ng one session with DOLE, yung labor component po kasi is open to abuses. It can be used against po ng mga salbahing may-ari kung sakasakali. Paano po mangyayari yun? Nagtatanggal na po sila, wala pa po ang K-12. Then they're making excuses just because of the projected losses. Kasi po yung batas na napirmahan, it was way back 2013. So ginamit na po hanggang ngayon. Ang nangyari po, ang naging effect, Madam Senator, ay kami mga organized institution, hindi na po kami makapag-negotiate more than dun sa naibigay ho ng batas kasi ang binigay retrenchment. So hindi na po kami makakahingi sa ngayon. Yung 2 years na sana, pwede pa kaming magkipag-negotiate. Yung right namin yun was limited to yun nga, makakapag-negotiate for redundancy, na-limit yun to retrenchment. Kasi may batas na po referring po dyan. Opo. Di po ba pag 15 days after na ma-publish po? Ang issuance po, ayun po, yung issuance po yan. So, dyan po malilimit po kami.
But you can bring it before it. I'm not recommending that. I'm just taking exception hindi to batas kasi hindi siya batas. So, when it's not a law, it's not carved in stone. And
Even a law can be questioned in court, so...
Ayun po. So, yan po yung 3 points po namin na sana po.
Isabit mo na rin para mapag-aralan natin ng husto. But like I said, I probably will need to either pass this on or work with the Committee on Legal.
Nila dun sa 2 dagdag na taon. Ayan. And ang favor, ang sa part ng higher education yan sa mga colleges, ayan, tuloy-tuloy yung increases ng tuition. Hindi lang sa private schools, ayan, pero pati na rin sa mga public higher education institutions. Ayan, kung hindi man sa tuition, as a part naman ng other school fees, like the developmental fees in
on the
public
additional
schools.
2 years, on the
Yes.
additional 2 years, that is the scope of this discussion.
Yeah.
On the rising
Cost, yeah.
2 years.
Yes,
That
ma'am.
one is really for this hearing.
Yes. And second, of course, we're very much concerned about the orientation as yung kaninang pinakin, yung dagdag na 2 years, kung paano ba, kung saan ba siya magsisilbi, like, yung kanina, yung mga partnerships and the partnership agreements with the local and private sectors and the private corporations in the areas. Ayan, so, paano ba nagkakaroon ng role yung mga local government na yung 2 years na dagdag sa basic education natin, mag-answer talaga dun sa needs ng local community. So, paano ba makikipagtulungan si DepEd sa local government, kung paano hindi lang tayo makikipag-partner with the local businesses, ayan, pero pati na rin dun sa mga communities, mga barangay, LGUs, ayan, ano ba yung mga needs talaga ng mga community at hindi lang yung needs in particular ng mga businesses na nag-ooperate sa isang mga particular areas. Ayan. So, yun po yung dalawang
They focus on it, and I'm not their spokesperson, but kasi the goal is job security. So I think that's why they tie up with the industries. No, but it's well taken.
Yeah.
Your Honor, if I may. In fact, in the instructions and the planning tool that we gave our school division superintendents, consultation and partnering with the LGUs as well as the legislators is very much part of it, not just industry. So they have to consult. Actually, they have to form a team where every one of these players is on board.
Okay. Anything else?
I'm the eldest among 6, ayan, and I have a sister in Las Piñas City, ayan, and sa high school po nila, meron silang ang 3 araw, so may dagdag pang 2 taon, pero ang reduced naman yung kanilang school week, 3 days na lang, and because ang kulang yung classrooms, ayan, so the school had to have 4 shifts in 1 week, ayan, Yes, and from 5 days po, from 5 days, nagiging 3 days na lang. And then,
can I ask DepEd for a complete report before the next hearing, no? I'll let you know when, on what schools are on shifting.
Yes, Your Honor.
Such as that. Kasi that's a very valid concern, no?
Your Honor.
Dagdag ka ng 2 hours, and but 2 years, and then meanwhile, we're wasting their time.
Your Honor, if I may.
Yeah.
We have to look at the specific school, if I can get the school, but in most cases, these schools are on what we call as alternative delivery mode.
Alternative ba ang school na pinapasukan ng kapatid mo?
Regular and public high school po.
No, it's a regular public high school, but what they are practicing is what is called as an alternative delivery mode, which means it's a blended learning type, it's a legitimate modality. It's a certain number of hours, in this case 3 days, in school. And
what she's saying. So yes, but I would like a complete report on how many schools, because as I was saying earlier, we have a provision in our law that requires that for K-12 to be implemented in 2016, the shortages have to be met. And this is a specific example. So that's why we'd like to know. I mean, if it's a few, then let's be happy there's a few, but there's still concern. I mean, it's a concern. So I'd like to have a complete report of all the schools that are not in alternative mode of delivery, but are subjected to less reduced hours, lack of classroom congestion.
Leaders Assembly next week, ayan, to discuss the impacts of K-12, ayan, and that, ano nangyayari sa mga high school leaders natin. Thank you.
Let me know when, and if I cannot go, I will send someone.
All right, ma'am. Okay, thank you.
Are you going to add anything, Mr. Mark? No? That's it? Okay. So, Mr. Gary Rigor of Philippine
Business for Education.
Yes.
Philippine Business for Education, we represent the business community in matters concerning Philippine education. So, one of the main focus then siguro that we can look at is the labor issue, specifically the effects of K-12 to industry and businesses. Kasi we're projecting that on 2020 and 2021, we won't have or we will have lesser graduates to fill up the human resources needs of the industries and the businesses. So according po from our review dun sa section 30.3 of the implementing rules and regulation of the K-12, different government organizations should convene different business organizations, industry and commerce to discuss and to come up with a mitigation plan or a contingency plan to be able to prepare these businesses on their human resources needs. So, it's more of an inquiry siguro. Nag-start na po ba yung mga ganong discussions, consultations, and can we enter those discussions? Since we think that this is a very important factor we need to consider. Ayun po.
If you have an excess of teachers, it may be an opportunity for... No, I say this not in jest and not lightly. In Iceland, it is common for them to shift careers like they're going to a different country. It happens routinely for them. I say lightly, but I'm just saying unless, as I said, that the K-12 law is repealed, this is a situation, and that is a very good point. There may be opportunities to explore, no? We know for a fact that many professionals many of those in the teaching professions pursue something else or never pursue a teaching profession. So might as well start talking and see if there are opportunities that will be welcome, no? Of course, we don't like anyone being forced to shift careers when they don't want to, but that's a good point he's raised. Let's not wait for that time to come, and let's start the discussions. The other thing, I don't need an answer right now, Yusek Ocampo, but when you mentioned, when you gave the example of Laguna and how the industries in the area are being consulted, no, on their needs, I had meant to say this and I forgot that Laguna specifically is an industrial zone, no? And so I imagine that in as much as we want to tap young workers, employees within Laguna, it's really meant to attract professionals or employees from all over the country. And so I would like in the succeeding discussions, which will include labor, and I'll invite you again, to really see the nationwide thrust, no, of determining what are the in-demand, not just per locality, but nationwide. Because when you look at Metro Manila, Laguna, the hubs, no, it's a national thing. When I go to the provinces, yes, not even the province, even within Metro Manila, it becomes very localized because of financial constraints. Ano yung malapit pasukan, di ba? But at the end of the day, they really need to go beyond their birthplace and look for jobs in the bigger areas or in the upcoming development centers. So anyway, final person, Mr. I still have UP, and then you, Dean Alonso from the UP College of Education.
Good afternoon to all. Good afternoon, Madam Senator. The University of the Philippines College of Education is in full support of the K-12 program because we're coming from the curricular point of view. In fact, we have been supporting the initiatives of the College of the Department of Education in terms of materials production, review of materials, training of teachers, research in assessment, curriculum, and technology. We're in full support because we know that the K-12 program is for the good of our students, our learners.
In hearings now, we'll ask you to be with us again so that when we get into more details, we may use your expertise. Thank you. Okay, ikaw na, Mr. Engineer Adi Unsi of INET.
INET Philippines, representing civil society organization.
Okay. Buong Pilipinas.
Mostly
ikaw
education.
na ang final statement.
It's just an additional to what have been discussed already. I have actually three manifestations. First is we welcome the K-12, especially the curriculum that somehow address or provide a window to address the cultural, educational needs of indigenous peoples and Muslim Filipinos. Hopefully, masyado na pong matagal ang panawagan ng ating mga kapatid na makatutubo na mabigyan sila ng educational aspiration that are relevant to their customary law. So hopefully the K-12 is a window to finally address yung cultural educational needs ng ating mga kapatid na katutubo. And in line also with the curriculum, hopefully we have, since we are in the implementation period, we have the clear gender lens ng ating curriculum. Yung issue ng stereotyping that cause ng mga insensitivity ng ating mga learning materials is somehow addressed ng ating instructional materials in K-12. And when it comes to senior high school track, napansin namin sa INET Philippines na masyadong nakapokus sa industry. And considering agri-fishery potentials ng ating mga kababayan na nasa rural areas, baka po pwede natin ma-explore yung track or stream on agri-fishery that somehow can provide more accessibility to our rural populace. Kasi yung availability po ng industry demand course ay masyado pong malayo, it costs additional cost for them to enter in senior high school. So baka we can explore yung availability ng agri-fishery strand instead of technical vocational lamang po. And finally, pangatlo, ang nakalagay po sa IRR ay the enhanced basic education may likewise deliver alternative learning system. So ang panukala po namin ay instead of may, baka shall, because we cannot assume that the K-12 can finally address yung issue ng ating out-of-school children and youth. Ang pag-aaral po namin ay madadagdagan pa, in addition to the existing out-of-school children and youth, ang ating mga kabataan na hindi makapag-aral dahil ang senior high school ay bukod sa malayo, kung industry-based lamang po ay medyo mataas din po yung cost. So baka po pwedeng malinaw na rin sa ngayon yung ating plano, yung alternative learning mode under the K-12 Pilipina, hindi magsawang makikisama sa proseso para maging katotohanan ang K-12. Hindi lamang po ito ilusyon sa isang likalidad na edukasyon. So sana po ay makapagtulungan tayo para maging katotohanan ang ating pangarap sa K-12. Maraming salamat, Madam Chair.
Okay, well,
As I expected, this hearing doesn't really solve anything. I never expected that it would. I really just wanted to bring everyone together to get a better understanding and to see the bigger picture. And what I hope to happen soon is to have smaller hearings, more focused hearings on specific concerns. And you will all be invited again, most likely. You will have to attend all since you represent the whole Filipino nation. But yes, I thank all of you for the time that you have spent, and I will suspend this hearing because it will continue. I do not know if the outcome will be any specific law. Hopefully it will be clarity on some issues. Hopefully we can push agencies to do certain things, and to the extent that we can provide support for those sectors that are, of course, sidelined or disadvantaged because of this, that will remain a priority by way of budgeting, probably through more clarity in the stabilization fund, possibly something in the coming budget for 2015. So maraming opportunities naman to make some changes, small and big. So again, thank you everybody for your time, and I hope to call on you for another meeting. Okay, sorry, may pahabol. Ang PIDS would like to say something. Philippine Institute of Development Studies. Yes, who would like to say something?
Very
Dr.
quickly,
Pacquiao.
just 3 points. One is that we really support your this series of hearings that you're planning, because I think that it's very important to make sure that the fundamentals are there, meaning the classrooms, the textbooks are there. I think we need to insist on this priority first. But we just want to say also that we strongly support the this reform of the K-12. The second point essentially relates to putting in the agenda in the context of this implementation of the K-12 program, the efficiency issue. I think that given the budget constraint, it is very strategically important to be efficient. And let me just share very briefly, I just came from Vietnam, and Vietnam actually has only half day of schooling for most of their schools. But recently in the PISA, the program for international student assessment, they beat the United States and Great Britain and the average OECD countries. They are top of the line. Maybe we can learn something from them in terms of how to do it even with the limited constraints that they face. And thirdly, lastly, just to reply to your question about doesn't multilingual, let's say three languages being taught at the same time to a student will not lead to confusion. The empirical evidence here in the literature is very clear. One is that, in fact, it facilitates, if you start with your mother tongue language, it facilitates, it makes it easier to learn the other languages.
Thank you. Just to reply briefly, because you caught my attention with a few things that you mentioned. On the mother tongue, that was a question of Senator Lauren. We will relay that to her. But I am a proponent of multiple languages. Not being a native Spanish speaker, I speak Spanish to my son. So he's speaking 3 languages now at the age of 4. Not well because the mother doesn't speak Spanish well. But I got him a Spanish tutor to improve his Spanish. But the next hearing, in connection what you're saying is, I would like to devote time on the content, because I do appreciate you're putting on record this findings about Vietnam. I am a proponent of progressive education also, and I feel so bad. I have no love for long hours of school. I'm also a proponent of sports, the arts, and all these extracurricular activities that make a child more wholesome and develops their own skills. So I would like to, in as much as we're so focused on this transition of 11 to 12, I also want to go into the core programs of kinder to 10th grade, and then separate pa yung content ng 11 to 12. So your short points are very well taken. So thank you again, everybody, and I will see most of you soon. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So, yes, pwede. I just have a few things to do. I will read